Refresh. Thank you.
Ferrero Rocher chocolate bar.
Yep, I
Crunchy
know.
hazelnuts, smooth chocolate, creamy filling.
Play, bitch.
Make any moment worth celebrating. Ferrero Rocher.
There we go.
Is Chick-fil-A overrated? It's the chicken
pants
sandwich
up
that
and away we'll
hogs
go.
the spotlight, but are there other chicken sandwiches flying under the radar that are just better? What? Today, we're finding the cream of the crop and showing you why you should put Chick-fil-A behind Hello, Internet. Welcome to Fruit Chicken, the show that's literally chewing on the fat.
This chicken's incredible.
Remarkably
Today, we're finally putting one big argument to rest. What is the best fast food chicken sandwich? When we covered best pizza a couple of months ago, Lee and I got
stabby
into
thing.
a debate because while he
Has anybody
did
seen why I
convert
put the
me to a
stabby
Papa John's
thing?
lover back in that episode, I stayed firm in my belief that Popeyes is the best fast food chicken sandwich. He's a Chick-fil-A kind of guy. And personally, I think it's overrated. Especially since they changed up their fries. But that's a story for another time. So, what better way to find an answer than by putting the chicken where our mouths are? 6 of us will be blindfolded while trying out 7 different chicken sandwiches. And our combined scores will determine which one is the best. And because Taste-O-Vision won't become a thing until 2042, we won't reveal which sandwich is which until the end. So you can play along and guess which fast food chain each sandwich is from. Write down your guesses in the comments below and let us know if you were right in the end. And let us know which sandwich you think will reign chicken supreme. So get out your napkins as we dive in mouth first. Now, before we get started, it's important to mention that not all chicken sandwiches are the same. I mean, that's why we're doing this, but to be more specific, some places offer a very simple chicken sandwich that is simply a bun, chicken, and maybe a pickle. But in other places, the most basic sandwich comes with lettuce or sauce or maybe both or more, which means that some may contain more ingredients than others, which is why we're blindfolding ourselves so that we can't pick them apart just by visual differences. The contenders we got are obviously the favorites, Chick-fil-A and Popeyes, with the Big Burger 3, McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King, followed by the classic but often left behind KFC. And rounding off the list is the newest on the scene of all of these, Raising Cane's. The 3 things we'll be rating in each sandwich are chicken ratio, how much chicken there is versus
chicken
everything else going
ratio.
on in the sando, chicken quality, how good the chicken actually is, and overall experience. How does it all come together for a pleasurable tasting experience? Obviously, we couldn't go by sight, and let's say some people, definitely totally not me, really went the extra mile when it came to taste.
If you're gonna do this right, you need to split the buns and lick down the middle.
Pardon me?
Taste judging methods aside, let's get started with sandwich number 1 and see what our initial thoughts were.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's a unique flavor.
That is a unique
That's
flavor.
a unique flavor. I think I like this. I think I like this a good bit. Interesting thought.
I hate it.
Really?
It's texture and quality. I don't like it at all.
The lettuce is like a down point towards it, and that flavor's coming from sauce. I'm not
Alright,
tasting
now I gotta
anything.
turn all 10 limbs.
Okay, so some mixed opinions on the first
Huzzah.
sandwich, but now we get to the critical part, which is asking everyone what they thought regarding our 3 categories.
Chicken ratio, I took that bite and it was like, hey, what if your entire mouth was filled with sauce? So, like, chicken ratio is like a 1.
I would give that chicken ratio, I would put that at a 4. There's a lot of chicken in that.
Pretty good, in my opinion. 4. I'm gonna say 3.
It is a lot of chicken. So I'm gonna go with a 4.
Work
I
it,
agree. I
baby.
prefer the chicken to have like a higher percentage of real estate within my sandwich. This did it really well. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well.
Pretty much everyone gave this a good score except for Lee, who felt he pretty much only got sauce. Let's see if their opinions on the chicken itself are positive.
The quality doesn't taste amazing.
And the chicken itself was juicy. There was just no
Flavor.
Yeah, there was no oomph.
I'm gonna say 2. I think I'm gonna go 3.
1.
That's pretty good. Yeah, okay, 4. Agree. 4. It's up there. I'd give it a 4.
I disagree. I think the breading, it was a lot of chicken, which is great.
Yeah.
But the breading didn't have much flavor to it. The seasoning is not there. It's dry, and it's just not flavored
It's
well.
dry
So-
for you?
Yeah, it is a 2.
Chicken quality scores were a bit all over the place, but surprisingly, we all gave the overall experience similar scores. But I felt that the sauce compensated for the overall sandwich, so I did give it a higher score. Once we totaled everything up, sandwich number 1 got a 20 for chicken ratio, 19 for chicken quality, and a 20 for overall experience, giving it a total of 59, which is a solid start, probably. No frame of reference. We'll find out more in sandwich number 2.
Very dry. Very dry.
Oh, so much more chicken.
That's immediately better.
The thing I will say, the sandwich as a whole is incredibly dry because there's nothing else going on in this.
This has a great bun feel, I gotta say right now. Remarkably pickle forward, which I am not mad at. The chicken itself is kind of bland.
I'm grazing the entire thing, and like I can barely tell when the chicken ends and the bread begins, and that's not a good sign.
Dry, if it's there at all,
That's
is the
two
last
legs
thing
done.
we want to hear about chicken in a sandwich. So, unsurprisingly, a low score for most of us, except for Tom and Lee, believing it to be a better
Hello,
quality
welcome
than
back.
sandwich number 1. With chicken ratio next, I'm starting to realize that Tom and Lee, being contrarians, is a bit of a theme.
Ratio is much better. I'd say it's like a 4.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
The bread and the chicken are indistinguishable because they're both so dry, and the ratio gets thrown off because of that. I'm gonna give this a 1.
It's dry. I can feel it in my esophagus, but the pickle is a very good pickle. I'm gonna give it like a 2.
Mine did have like chicken, its little butt sticking out. It's a good butt ratio. Maybe a 3.
I was also gonna say 3.
When it comes to our experience rankings, finally, we're all on the same page. For now.
At best a 2 because I agree I do kind of like pickle. That's at best a 2.
It's a 2. Needs more on it. I'm gonna say 3. I'll be generous.
I was getting a little slippage on the bun. I would rate the sandwich experience probably like a 2.
Like, the flavors were really good, but I think I can't go higher than a 2. But there wasn't, like, anything stand-outish, and there was nothing to kind of bring the whole thing together.
Look at us being
You wanna use the green one? It's my good one.
It's
my better one.
Chicken ratio, 17 for chicken quality, and 13 for overall experience. Sandwich number 2 had a total of 47, 12 points less than sandwich number 1, putting it at the bottom of our scoreboard. Sandwich number 3 got a little bit of hate early on.
Oh, so much mayo.
I recognize the taste of the running. It's very Burger King forward.
Ash and I, however, hated it a lot.
What?
No, you don't have a.
I know, thrilling, isn't it?
What are you doing?
I'm turning tentacles for a giant squid.
This chicken sandwich was so bad that we almost lost Ash entirely. Thank the chicken gauze Amy was there to help them, because under the blindfold, I had no idea what was happening. While Ash recovers from that first bite, let's check in with everyone else's opinion on the chicken ratio.
Chicken ratio, I would say maybe like a 2 out of 5.
I'd put it at a 3. I don't think it's, like, overwhelming, but I feel like it's middle of the road for me.
The chicken is the same consistency as the bread. I don't appreciate that. What chicken? There is chicken. Couldn't talk.
Absolutely not.
That is literally one of the worst things I put in my mouth. I don't even know, and I'm not gonna take another bite.
I did not get enough chicken in that bite because it was so wet and mushy. If that was chicken, something happened to it.
Okay, so relatively low scores for that one. And if you hadn't guessed already, it doesn't get much better.
1.
1.
Like a 2.
I think I like it. I'm really not a fan of that.
1.
Yeah, I'll say 1.
This is the worst sandwich by far.
So after a quick and very disappointing round, sandwich number 3 got a total score of 26. 26! I'm pretty sure a sandwich made out of one of those squeaky rubber chicken toys would have gotten a higher score.
I know exactly what this is.
No, I don't like that.
That's so fun.
And I don't like pickle.
Ratio again, I'd put that about 4.
I agree. Ratio
skinny
about 4.
this up a
I'll give it
bit.
3. It is a fairly thick patty, and it feels uniform, but there's a lot of bread.
I have to agree. I was actually going to get the ratio at 2.
That was a winner right there for me. Yeah, I'd say 1.
Although people have their suspicions about which chain this chicken clearly not enough chicken. In general, Tom and Lee were being much more generous with their scorings, resulting in a 4 from both. But the rest of us needed more than a pickle to be satisfied, as proven by our scores for the remaining categories.
I'm gonna give it a 2 here.
Oh,
It is
shit.
very dry. It's not plunky.
Alright, fix that first, I guess.
A sandwich deconstructed before my very eyes, which are blindfolded. The chicken, it became very evident to me, was quite dry and hard on the outside. I'm actually going to give it a 2.
Yeah, I was like a 1.
Quality, I think I'm going to put that at a 3. It was fine.
Quality, I'll give it was a 5 because that was Chick-fil-A. The actual sandwich experience, honestly, was poorer than I would have hoped. It was a 3.
Yeah, I'd give that about a 3. Solid experience, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I'm sticking with a 3. I like the pickle. I like how it's pickle forward. I also like how it's distinct.
I'll agree. I don't think I can go as high as a 3 though. I do like the pickle, but it's very briny, very salty. I don't like the sweetness of the bun and then the chicken breading. So like for me, it's a 2.
1.
Once again, Caitlin and Jarek are coming in hot with their scoring of... What was it again?
That was a winner right there for me. Yeah, I was like a 1. 1.
Okay, 1. I got it. Jeez. Ash and I weren't much more generous with our scores of 2. Tom and Lee, on the other hand, were giving much higher scores. Although, I'm not sure if that has something to do with Lee already guessing which chain this was. I'm on to you. Regardless, the scores were in, and with pretty similar scores in all categories. 14 for both chicken ratio and quality, and then a 13 for experience. Sandwich number 4 got a score of 41, putting it in 3rd place. So maybe Chick-fil-A isn't the best chicken sandwich. I mean sandwich number 4. So we don't know if it is or it isn't Chick-fil-A. And, you know, on to the next sandwich.
Ratio is pretty good.
Real sauce. I'm like getting real saucy up in here.
Oh, see, mine is not. Mine's kind of
Oh no, I'm oozing the sauce. Mine's wet.
Hate that. I hated that so much.
Tremendously different feel.
I can feel
Skip the pricey produce aisles.
We get it this
Grow
time?
Your own veggies
No.
at home with Miracle Grow Organics. 100% organic ingredients for 100%
do I keep missing?
organic harvest. Miracle Grow
Don't have a
Organics.
choice.
No
Gotta sew
better
it up.
way to grow.
But it is already supported, so I should be able to just do it by hand. Without losing too much.
You found it then?
Of course I did.
I kind of want to rub this on me.
I need to like marinate in this thing. It's so good. Bro, we're aligned.
No, I don't like it at all.
I'm undecided.
You know how sometimes when you take a bite of like chicken, like store-bought chicken or like fried chicken that you buy like in a bag, some of the pieces will have like a tendon in it. I feel like I just got a big bite of tendon.
The chicken is nice and crispy. There's a lot of it, but I like the pickles. Something about that sauce that isn't sitting right with me.
Chicken ratio, I'd say that's a solid like 3. There's a solid amount of chicken in it.
I got quite a lot. I'm going to put that over 4 similar to the
Yeah.
others.
It's like a 4. I would say about 2 for me.
not a good amount of chicken. I'd say 4.
All right, do it again,
there's
do
some
it
big
again.
opinions on this one, with a wide range of rankings for chicken ratio. But what did everyone say about the quality?
This is the 5est 5.
Fat 5.
It's juicy, it's crunchy, it's got that seasoning.
Here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this topped. It's that good.
One.
Really? You don't
Terrible.
It's very firm again. I'm going to put that at a
3. Room for improvement.
Yeah, I'd say 3 as well.
All I'm saying is Ash is the only one invited to my dinner parties from now on.
Based on my half, probably overall.
I like combined the 2 bites that were very different. The first one was very dry and took a while to chew through. The second one was quite wet though, but I'm gonna say 2.
Like a 2.
Yeah, it's a 2.
I'm gonna give this a 5.
This is a 5. It is like the perfect mix of like sauce and breading and the bread and the chicken and the pickles. Just
Stop overthinking this and just get it
Mine and
done.
Ash's very vocal response to the sandwich and finishing the entire thing. This was our personal highest scoring sandwich of the experiment. I gave it straight 5s, while Ash gave their overall experience a 4 instead. But I wasn't convinced I would have another chicken sandwich experience like this one. Maybe it was the flavor. Maybe it was that I was blindfolded that made the experience all the more pleasurable. Note to self or something else. But at the end of the round, sandwich number 5 had a total score of 60. 19 for chicken quality and overall experience, and 22 for chicken ratio. Our highest score for that category so far. This put sandwich number 5 at the top row, just 1 point above the previous leader, sandwich
Please.
number 1. But based on my experience, I was unsure
Thank you.
if anything would beat it. But we still had 2 more sandwiches to chomp down on and give our take. This is a little guy. He's just a little guy.
This is itty bitty.
See?
I'm familiar. This is a familiar one. It's not pleasant, but I've done this before. That feels very McDonald's. The lettuce and the mayo. Their chicken has a very.
Yes, I did just cut after I did all that work.
The other ones were.
Surely this is McDonald's. Immediately, that lettuce.
This does feel like McDonald's.
It's really bland. The mayo is the only thing giving this flavor.
There's mayo on this?
here's the thing. It tastes like it has a lot of breading, but not a lot of chicken.
For me, this is like, you know when you walk far enough into the ocean on the beach and the sand starts to get like flat and smooth again? Like you're not getting the texture there, right? There's nothing going on. That's the breading for me. Now, the chicken is thin. It's not the most flavorful, but I can tell that it's there.
Already, we had some big suspicions on what this might be. That being said, it didn't make us like the sandwich anymore. If you agree with Tom, Lee, Jerica, and Caitlin, leave a comment below. If you don't, hit that subscribe button. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Chicken ratio, I'm gonna give it 2.
My CR rating is also a 2.
That's like a 1.
Yeah, that's like a 1.
Maybe a 3. 1.
This was the general theme for how everyone scored the rest of the categories on this sandwich.
Yeah, 1. Yeah. I know him.
It's like a 1.
Yeah, it's not
This is
good.
bad. It's like a 1.
The
Yeah.
only thing interesting from this round was realizing how in sync Ash and I were.
I'll give it a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 2 as well.
You know what? I'm gonna give the overall sandwich a 3.
Me too!
Let's go. Are you high fiving right
Yes,
now?
double
Okay.
high five.
Oh, there's 2.
No, no.
Oh God.
Okay, kind of in sync. 3/5 in sync. Lance, Chris, and Joey. No, JC, you're just in. Wow, anyone else just get deja vu? Sandwich number 6 was not great. Just overall felt bland, which is what led to it getting a total score of 32. Not the worst sandwich so far, but it was far behind all the others. The only thing that saved it from being at the bottom was our overall experience scores being a little higher all around. So looking at our current leaderboard, we have sandwich number 3 dead last with 26 points, sandwich number 5 in first place, and sandwich number 1 point behind. Sandwich number 2 is currently holding third place with 12 points behind. But that was all about to change as we moved on to our final sandwich.
Not saucy. But tasty. Breading is much crispier on this one. Okay, one more time.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
Wow. What?
Huh. And like, it's a weird experience. I'm weirding out, man.
This is the textural experience of this breading is throwing me for a loop.
And the chicken. I don't know if I love it or hate it.
Oh, this is a thick boy. Oh, it's good chicken.
This is incredible.
It's a good breading.
There's an excellent one.
There's a pickle in there as well, which is, but again, not too much, so it's not overpowering.
Alright! Looks like we have a contender for the podium. Not all of us were in love with the sandwich, but quite a few of us were taken aback by the flavor. But now it's time to see what we thought of the chicken ratio.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Uh-huh.
So it's a little uneven. I got some bites where it was like a lot of chicken, and then other bites where like it wasn't.
I agree on the ratio. I think this is a 3. The breading takes up an alarming amount of space in the mouth.
It does.
I put that at 5.
This is a 5. This is like
Top
a
10.
massive chunk of chicken.
And because compared to all the other ingredients, it just stands out.
Yeah, the other ingredients are garnish upon this chicken.
Oh, the 4. Yeah, it was pretty good. 4.
Chicken quality here was high across the board. We all agreed on 4s, except Tom and Lee, who actually gave 2 other 5s. The chicken ratio is really what ended up being the downfall of the overall experience for the sandwich, for some of us.
I'll give it a 3.
Yes, I agree. Like the breading has so much potential, it just goes on in clumps, and that's a detriment to the experience.
Yep.
But overall, I thought the bun was fine. I thought the chicken was great. It's just the breading
This is
that
where we
made
just
such a
touch.
statement that I was literally knocked off of my feet.
Go 4, actually.
I made 3.
I like the flavor.
I need more on my sandwich.
This is
Perfect. Queen sweep across the board.
Lee loved this sandwich so much that he refused to put it down so we could move on, which resulted in this amazing sandwich.
Oh my god.
I'm not. I assumed he just ate the entire thing and was. Come on, Kirby.
I got the full profile angle of it.
Despite it seeming inconsistent, this sandwich ran away with the lead. 24 for ratio, 26 for chicken quality, and 23 for overall experience. If you've been keeping track of the numbers during this episode, these are the highest scores for every category, with 26 being the highest number we've had, and coincidentally, the total score of sandwich number 3. So yeah, based on that, this sandwich is the winner with a total score of 73. 13 points for the current leader. I was shocked that the lead would be extended this much, but we can't go celebrating just yet. We still don't know which fast food chain is which.
This one's raising
I was
canes.
gonna say Cane's.
This is Raisin Cane's.
Yes.
Then it's
Okay, yeah, that one. You are correct.
Raisin cane sauce, man. That's the only thing I've heard about this place is that the sauce is really good. The chicken is really bland.
Chick-fil-A.
I think this might be.
I'm gonna go Wendy's.
It's Chick-fil-A.
I disagree.
Really?
There was a certain flavor profile associated with Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna say Woo!
What's the one you guys took one bite of and like had a fit?
I know what this is.
I think it's Burger King.
It's Burger King.
It has to be
100%
Burger King.
Burger King. That is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I'm going with that.
You are correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
It's KFC.
You think KFC?
No, I don't think it's KFC.
I'm
I
gonna
agree.
guess the Wendy's.
You are both wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
so Wendy's.
Wendy's.
You are both wrong.
Woo!
This is Chick-fil-A. I
It has to
agree.
be Chick-fil-A.
This,
Chick-fil-A.
It is Chick-fil-A.
Here.
I worked at Chick-fil-A for a year. I had Chick-fil-A sandwiches like 4 times a week. It was aggressive.
Yeah, it's not.
I guess we KFC.
Sure, I guess that's my only.
You're correct.
Oh, why are they putting sauce on it?
I'm gonna say Popeyes because I haven't had Popeyes in years.
I want to say Wendy's. Oh,
Okay.
yay!
Popeyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's Popeyes.
Easy.
You're a little wrong.
What?
It was KFC.
Wow!
There's no way.
The woman was too stunned to speak. Number 6. This is the little guy.
That tastes like McDonald's.
No way. No way. Wendy's.
You're both
Wrong.
What? Wrong.
Yeah. Wendy's.
There we go.
Interesting.
There we go.
You have one left. What was your final sandwich?
Popeyes.
So that was the best chicken sandwich. And
Oopsie.
in my heart of hearts, I know it wasn't Chick-fil-A.
Sorry about that.
Because it was the best one. I'm going to say it was Chick-fil-A, even though it wasn't.
It was indeed Popeyes.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna go
we'll lock in
KFC.
KFC.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yes!
Because if the other one's KFC, this is Popeyes.
Shoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Correct.
Yes.
That is
I
Popeyes.
am
I'm
shocked.
so shocked right now. Now that we have our sandwiches revealed, let's return to the scoreboard. In last and certainly least place, Burger King, followed by Wendy's, and then by, perhaps the biggest shock here, Chick-fil-A. McDonald's ended up getting a higher overall score than Chick-fil-A. Rounding off the podium, we have Raising Cane's taking the bronze, KFC shot everyone with the silver, and Popeyes comfortably taking the gold as the cream of the cluck cluck crop and best fast food chicken sandwich. Unsurprisingly, places that specialize in chicken were the ones that got themselves on the podium. The only
Makes sense.
outlier here was Chick-fil-A. As for our predictions, Ash stands above all of us with 6 out of 7 correct. Hi. I made an oopsie.
I can tell.
Ash didn't win. We tied! Though I'm happy that my opinion of Popeyes was also proven right. It was the best overall sandwich, with Tom, Lee, Jerica, and Caitlin all giving it their highest score. So if you're looking for a chicken sandwich that ticks all these boxes, a high chicken to sandwich ratio, an amazing chicken quality, and overall good experience, then look no further than Popeyes. Or at least a
I'll
chain
spit.
where the focus is solely on chicken. As long as, apparently, that chain
Into the
is a
squid.
Chick-fil-A.
Listen
And
to the
please,
squid.
for the love of all things tasty, do not go to Burger King. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, if you want to see more, make sure to click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
It's gonna be the
Good,
last,
good.
but I'll
Holding
do myself.
trees. But wait. Warm cinnamon. Velvety vanilla? Cinnamon vanilla flavored shreddies. Same great square. New delicious flavor.
It's mesmerizing. Cleaning the greasy mess with Dawn Platinum.
And not even scrubbing.
Well, fluff my feathers. It cuts through the slimy stuff better than their old dish soap, removing 99% of grease. That's why only Dawn is trusted to save wildlife.
Didn't they have a lawsuit against them because one of their chemicals was making eggshells for wild birds really
so
brittle?
you thought putting 27 movies in a timeline was hard? You ain't seen nothing yet. Today we're putting more than 60 films into one cohesive timeline, creating the Disney theory to end them all. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that always says, "Hey, theorists!" So, for as much as we get on them for the strange, often awful decisions they make, Disney has made a lot of great movies over the 100 years they've been around. Specifically, their animation is some of the most beloved in the world. There's a
Until they
lot
gave
of
it up.
genuine nostalgia for these stories, and I wondered, well, what if they were all part of the same story? What if there was one complete, cohesive Disney timeline of the Disney universe? The Disneyverse, if you will. Now, you may have seen this sort of idea around the internet before, specifically with the Pixar theory. This was a fun project originally created by John Negroni and picked up by fellow theorists like the Super Carlin brothers, trying to fit all of the Pixar movies into one complete timeline. It's a big challenge, and one that I really respect those creators for taking on. And I wanted to throw my hat into the ring with something
Alright.
similar. The Disney theory, doing the same thing with all of Disney's movies. Matt had previously connected a handful of Disney movies with cameos and Easter eggs, but I wanted to do them all, from Snow White to Moana 2. And And it turned out much longer than I anticipated. Like, seriously, I was thinking this would be a special 25 to 30-minute video. And this turned into an epic that was over 45 minutes. So, yeah, this is a multi-part series with part 2 coming by the end of the month. So, okay, how are we going to be doing this? What are our rules? Like, most of the movies are pretty ambiguous about when and where they take place, and putting them all together is gonna be a bit janky. But basically, we're going to be looking at all of the historical settings, landscapes, clothes, source material, cameos, and Easter eggs across all of the films to tie them together as best we can. And shoutouts to the awesome fan wikis and channel Mickeyology for being great resources for a lot of the information regarding all of that jazz. They were excellent starting points and just invaluable for us today. Regardless, the most important thing for us is to make sure that the main 62 films in the Disney canon fit in here. If you don't know, the Disney canon are the movies made specifically by Walt Disney Animation Studios. This is Disney's main animation studio that makes their tentpole big budget movies directly associated with the Disney brand. Just to be clear, that doesn't include other studios they've owned, the likes of Pixar or Blue Sky Studios or Image Movers or whatever. Like, those are their own things, and maybe we'll get to them someday. For the most part, it also doesn't include works from Disney Toon Studios or Disney Television Animation. Those were the people who made the direct sequels or animated series spin-offs for the main Disney canon. That being said, sometimes these sequels and spin-offs will have details that will help us definitively place the movies or support the worlds that we're building here. In those cases, we'll be using them, but we will make sure to call that out. But again, the most important thing for this theory is getting those main 62 films placed. Those extras are just a nice bonus if they fit. Oh, and just one more thing while you're watching this, I want you to be thinking. Who would win in a fight? Moana, Elsa from Frozen, or Rapunzel from Tangled? I think there's a good case for all three of them, but please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you think it's Moana, please make sure you use the word horizon in your comments. For Elsa, use glacier, and for Rapunzel, use toupee. They're on screen right now if you want to make sure that you get them right. Including the word assigned to the princess you think would win in your comment will help us tally up the results, and I'll let you know who wins in part 2. And hey, maybe we can turn this into a theory, a whole Disney princess battle royale. Honestly, it sounds hilarious, and I'm so down. But with all of that done and dusted, loyal theorists, let's get right into the
Undusted.
Okay,
Out
so
of this
right
way.
off the bat, there's a common thread that ties all of the movies in the Disney canon together, and it's a sprinkling of that Disney magic. No, I mean literally, Disney magic. The thing that distinguishes this universe apart from ours is magic. Whether that be through talking animals or ghosts, or just straight up wizards. So the first thing to do here is figure out, where does that magic come from? Well, the answer is simple. Stars. I'm talking wishing stars, shooting stars, magic from the sun, which is just a big old
Well,
star.
we'll see how that
For
looks
whatever
after I
reason,
turn
in the Disneyverse, stars are inherently magical and can pass that magic along to whatever they touch. And that is, well, everything. In the real world, everything is made of star stuff, elements that were first created inside of stars. The same thing is happening here, just with magic alongside the science. As the corniest song in Wish put it. After the Big Bang and the formation of all these magic stars, the first thing we see is the Rite of Spring sequence from Fantasia, which shows us the formation of Earth and the development of life, leading up to the age of the dinosaurs. That naturally takes us to Disney's Dinosaur, set in the Cretaceous period at least 65 million years ago, when the dinosaurs
Okay,
would have
I did get
existed
those
alongside
done.
the ancestors of Lemur.
Alright.
But of course, the dinosaurs couldn't last forever, and just like in our universe, a meteor impacts the planet and kills them off. We actually see a lot of them die in that same Rite of Spring sequence in Fantasia. It's dark. But that wasn't the end of life on the planet, and in fact, the star magic would basically supercharge the rest of the life on Earth. In Fantasia 2000, the humpback whale sequence opens up with a star shining down on the ocean. And then, the Northern Lights. This is a phenomenon caused by the Earth's magnetosphere interacting with the sun's light. The sun itself is just a star, so that makes the Northern Lights magic in this universe. And believe me, we'll get to that in a second. Regardless, this sets the stage for magic to spread across the skies, allowing those whales to take flight. We're dating this sequence back to 120,000 years ago, after humpback whales migrated to the pine tree populated northern hemisphere, but before the most recent ice age fully set in. And along with these flying humpback whales, all of the magic also allows for the emergence of various creatures that are only legends in our world. Giants, dragons,
This is gonna hurt somebody.
mermaids, and all manner of mythological beasts and supersized species.
Open your butt.
Additionally, it left many animals capable of understanding human speech, and gifted some with the ability to speak. Though that doesn't doesn't really become relevant until much, much later. This brings us to the dawn of human civilization, with the rise of Atlantis around 13,000 BC, as seen in Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
See, if they're going to do a live action, I think they should do Atlantis.
The technology of Atlantis was driven by magic crystals above the city, which were conspicuously compared to stars.
Bright light, like a star, floating above the city.
Further proof that magic comes from stars in this world. However, as the Atlantean Empire thrived, other less advanced human civilizations were also popping up across the world, each with their own relationship with this star magic. For instance, we have Brother Bear, set in what is now Alaska, around 9,500 BC. We can place it there since it takes place in that sweet spot between the last ice age wrapping up, but before the extinction of the Columbian mammoth. In the film, we once again see traces of magic from the stars and the Northern Lights. I told you we'd be getting back to that one. And in Brother Bear, we see this magic has the power to interact with both human and animal spirits, literally transforming Kenai into a bear. Across the planet, humans start recognizing the power of magic and sought to bottle it up and harness it for themselves. Sometimes they did this in literal bottles. This gave rise to races of magical beings like the genies, concentrated personifications of that witching magic. Unfortunately, we know from the Aladdin animated series that genies were later hunted to near extinction, perhaps due to some backlash against magic, considering the devastation that could occur if it fell into the wrong hands. Only a few survivors, like Aladdin's genie, were spared and hidden away in places like the Cave of Wonders. So we can actually clock genies' imprisonment starting in 8600 BC, since 10,000 years
will give you such a kick in the neck.
We know that Aladdin takes place in 1400 AD, but we'll get there, I promise. And here is where we get to the most pivotal point in the early Disney books, year 7000 BC and the fall of Atlantis, as seen in that movie's prologue. Using their magically fueled technology, Atlantis accidentally nuked the whole planet and created a giant tidal wave. Whoopsie, this led to the sinking of Atlantis in a great flood that hit an entire planet, referenced by Milo and Kida later in the movie.
Such knowledge has been lost to us since the time of the Mammoth.
This is also where the Noah's Ark sequence from Fantasia 2000 would fit in, where we see Noah save the animals and ferry them to the only sliver of land that's not completely submerged. So that's good news for Noah and his animals, but what about the rest of humanity? Kind of hard to come back from the whole world getting flooded, isn't it? Well, thankfully, there were parts of civilization like Avalonia from Strange World that were able to survive on the backs of giant turtles. Yeah, really. These were likely created by the magic that brought back life after the dinosaurs, and we see in Strange World that they're using the flooded planet as their own personal swimming pool. And believe it or not, but this isn't even the only example of this we see in the Disney canon. In the direct-to-video sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, the game discovered the remnants of an ancient civilization built on the back of a giant turtle. Sound familiar? That's just further proof that humans were forced to resettle on the backs of these giant turtles until the continents re-emerged. Oh, and just as a little bonus here, we actually have a direct connection between Atlantis and Strange World. We see an Atlantean book written in its distinctive language at the end of Strange World, suggesting that the fall of Atlantis was studied by the surviving humans. However, eventually Avalonia would have been flooded again as the giant turtles died, or just decided to go back underwater. They got a little divine intervention from some very powerful individuals, thus beginning Disney's Age of the Gods. Yeah, at this point, higher powers swoop in to reshape the world and fix the mess left behind by Atlantis. The first to step up is Tafiti, who raised the land from the ocean and unflooded the planet.
In the beginning, there was only ocean until the mother island emerged.
But Tafiti was only one such powerful being. There were others, including the Titans and other giant monsters like Tamatoa, who brought chaos to the world, earthquakes and volcanoes that never slept. Enter other pantheons like the Greek gods, who imprisoned the Titans and monsters beneath the seas to help humanity thrive. These prisons became small worlds unto themselves, like Lalotai in Moana, and Wonderland in Alice in Wonderland. Even some powerful mortal sorcerers were imprisoned in similar worlds or trapped in items like cauldrons. Dang, man. and Zeus don't mess around. Regardless, only creatures that could feasibly coexist with humans were allowed to hang around. Dragons and mermaids were left off the hook, as were certain demigods like Maui, who set humanity up for success by taming nature. Speaking of demigods, this actually leads us to the story of Hercules, set in 1000 BC. We know this thanks to a date we can see on a credit card in the movie. Guess all that wish magic also got capitalism a jumpstart in this timeline. This film also shows us that gods are still running the show, since we see the Greek pantheon and Hercules almost ascend to become one of them. Oh, and just before we move on, Hercules also lets us place the Lion King and all of its ancestor star magic roughly at the same time. See, one of the famous labors of Hercules in Greek myth to prove that he was a hero was killing the Nemean lion, a beast that was terrorizing the town of Nemea. Well, in the Disney movie, we see Hercules wearing a lion pelt that is identical to Scar. So somehow, Scar survived being attacked by the hyenas, and the Lion King made his way up to Greece and was eventually defeated by Hercules. And just to get it out of the way, yes, the Timon and Pumbaa series features those two in the modern day. But those aren't the same Timon and Pumbaa from the movie universe. Timon in the films has 5 stripes on his back, but only 3 in the show. So it's non-canon or some weird alternate universe. But enough about that, let's get back to the Disney gods. Something happened that drove the gods away, or made them take a hands-off approach moving forward. And that thing was the Druun from Raya and the Last Dragon. In the year 800 BC, dark entities known as the Druun spread across the world with the power to turn any creature into stone. And though you might not be able to kill a god, you can trap them forever on a rock. So how can we put this at 800 BC? Well, we know that the Druun rose to power 500 years before the main events of Raya.
Well, that all began 500 years ago.
And given the presence of iron weapons and crossbows in the main story, we can estimate that Raya is set around 300 BC. So 500 years before that would make this 800 BC. Regardless, after the gods left, magical beings called dragons defeated the Druun in the fictional Southeast Asian subcontinent of Kumandra, though they were themselves trapped in stone. 500 years later, the Druun were released once again during the main events of Raya before being defeated once and for all. With the Druun finally gone for good, humanity once again thrives. Though Polynesia suffers after the demigod Maui steals the heart of Te Fiti and triggers a slowly encroaching wave of darkness that drains life from the islands across the Pacific. Don't worry, we'll get back to that story shortly, but first we have to take a brief pit stop in Europe. Here we have the Black Cauldron. Yeah, I bet you forgot about this one. Honestly, I thought that this one was going to be a challenge since it takes place in a fantasy world known as Prydain, until I dug into it and discovered that Prydain is just another name for the country of Wales in Great Britain, thus setting it firmly on Earth. Anyway, this film has to take place around the 500s AD, since the helmet that Taran imagines himself wearing resembles a Spangen helm, a real type of helmet popular during this century. Likewise, this leads us directly into the Sword and the Stone, set just a slight jaunt away in 500s England. Here, King Arthur rises to power to become a legendary hero under the tutelage of the mage Merlin. This is the date range typically given for Arthurian legend, which more or less lines up with what we see in the film. We're also going to set the famous Sorcerer's Apprentice story from Fantasia here, which sees the sorcerer Yen Sid and his apprentice, a strange humanoid mouse creature named Mickey. These animal-human hybrids will become much more common later on in the timeline and are likely the result of star magic really fast-tracking the evolution of other species. Anyway, we're placing this here because of the similarity between Yen Sid and Merlin's attire, and the similar use of magic. That's not to say they're the same character, but they are clearly peers. And now, back to the Pacific to round out the first millennium.
Alright.
And Moana 2.
I get
These are set in Polynesia
not the
during
best, but it's done.
Chalk this date up to some real history.
Skulls.
See, Moana's story unfolds during a period called the Long Pause. This was a time when the exploration of the ocean by the Polynesian people stalled for over 1,000 years and ended in the 10th century. Well, in the Disneyverse, this came to an end thanks to Moana's adventure to Te Fiti, which reignites the desire to explore in her people. What's up, guys? Future Lee here. I just saw Moana 2 and wanted to talk about how it impacts the timeline.
Okay.
There was a joke in this movie where Maui said that the gods had butt dialed Moana, and no one knew what he was talking about, but that it would make sense in about 2,000 years. At first, that concerned me because, hey, that doesn't line up with present day. Especially if this is set in like 900 AD. But there are multiple other instances where it does line up with that timeline of about 900 AD. The last Maokai before Moana is said to have been about 1,000 years ago, which lines up with the Great Pause. And likewise, Mutangi, the Bat Lady, was trapped in that giant clam for 1,000 years. Again, all of that lines up with the Great Pause, so we're going to say that Dwayne Johnson just ad-libbed that line and this then gets us to the start of a new millennium, and before we go further here, I have to make a note. Not every
I need a
kingdom
pencil.
in the universe has a great creative idea. Like, Caesar might have been one of the 1,000 thousands of
I have a pencil, but it's not
soldiers
sharp.
popped up around Europe in the Middle Ages.
I have a pencil, but
Converging
it's not
or
white.
eaten up by a larger kingdom or nation, but in
I'll
the
give it a
Disneyverse,
try.
it seems like plenty of these lands continue to dot the map as independent states for a prolonged period, at least up until the 20th century. For example, according to Disney, Wish is set in the 1200s off the southern coast of Spain.
I think it'll work.
Candidate to spread parts of its culture across the region, and why we see so many early versions of classic fairy tale stuff like fairy godmothers and magic mirrors in Wish before they pop up in other European stories. Like, for instance, Sleeping Beauty. Thankfully, this one is easy. It takes place within the borders of what is now France in the 1300s.
Now, Father, you're living in the past. This is the 14th century.
Gotta love when they make it easy. And also, shout-outs to Maleficent, who is one of the many dark wizards who seems to be taking advantage of the darker side of the star magic. From here, things start to get busy. Particularly, the 1400s were huge for our Disney timeline. First up, we have the Emperor's New Groove, set in Peru during the era of the Incan Empire. So we're gonna plop this one in the early 1400s. We also get another example of magic in this world, transforming a human into an animal, which is just very much a recurring theme in the Disneyverse. Next up, we have one of my personal faves, Mulan, set in China.
Oh, I need something slightly bigger than you. That's what she said.
All the way to the 4th AD here in the real world, the Disneyverse Mulan takes place much later, since we see both the Great Wall of China and the Imperial Palace, the latter of which wasn't completed until around 1420.
We're gonna get
In
improvisational.
Mulan 2, we see a calendar that dates the film to the year of the Fire Ox. That only occurs once every 60
If I lower
years.
it to this, I don't think I have a bigger one though. That's what she said. Fuck, I'm tired.
Also worth noting that the Fa family guardians like Mushu were dragons trapped in stone, very similar to the dragons we saw in Raya. Perhaps the drone had an impact here in China as well. Regardless, we can actually use the Imperial Palace to place Aladdin around the same time, since he and Jasmine finished their whole new world date by watching fireworks over the Imperial Palace in the Forbidden City. Now, before you say anything, I know there's a popular theory
that's what I'm
that
gonna do.
suggests that Aladdin takes place in the far future, since Genie makes a ton of modern pop culture references despite being locked up in a lamp for 10,000 years. But this isn't the case, and those timey-wimey references can actually be explained thanks to the Aladdin animated series. See, in one episode, Aladdin and his friends travel back in time to the Fountain of Agrabah. Here, the mystical sands of time are spilled onto the site where the city would be founded. Genie ends up bottling up some of the time travel magic for himself to use whenever he wants. This might be a bit weird and retroactive, but this is likely how his past self knew about all of those modern references. Time travel is just super confusing, man. Those sands of time might also explain how crossover episodes like the one we see between Aladdin and Hercules can happen, despite those two movies being separated by thousands of years.
Excellent.
Besides, Genie isn't even the first to do this. All the way back in The Sword and the Stone, Merlin used to take vacations in the 21st century on a regular basis. Finally, rounding out the 1400s, we can hop back over to France where we see the events of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. If this is anything like the Victor Hugo novel it's based on, that means it's set in the year 1492. And it also gives us another example of star magic.
Can I see anything? Not enough. Need something a little that leaves more residue.
In this movie, it can't. There are other factors in Beauty and the Beast that play on, but both of these movies are set.
Well, that works, but I'll ruin it.
An ancestor of Belle's who just happens to look a lot like it. And now, probably 10 plus minutes into our timeline here, we finally get to the very first Disney animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Using where the original fairy tale
All these pencils have no fucking sharper. We're all Halloween themed too. Don't judge me. How about you?
Set in Virginia during 1607.
Pens usually work good on fleece.
In the first few lyrics of the film. Again, love when it's easy and somewhat consistent with real life history, even if the rest of the film isn't at all. Though, again, this movie does show us the long-term impacts of the star magic on the nature of the Disneyverse, with elemental forces like wind and trees literally being alive in this world. Anyway, this leads up into Beauty and the Beast, which is set in France during the mid to late 1700s. We know this thanks to the aesthetic look of the era and Cogsworth referencing Rococo architecture, which prominently emerged in the 1730s. We actually covered when and where this takes place in an old episode of Food Theory, so go check that out. Just a few decades later, we have the Legend of Sleepy Hollow segment from the Adventures of Ichabod and
8. If I do 8, then I'll just get it over with.
It's based on another real-world book by Washington Irving set in 1790. Nothing contradicts that in the movie, so that's why we're jumping back to Europe, and something much more made up. We have Tangled and all of its various spin-off series and shorts. This whole little mini-franchise was kicked off by a bit of that star magic. Regardless, this is set in the fictional France of Corona in the late 1830s or early 1940s. I don't know that, but the animators researched fashion in that time frame while making the film. Plus, we know that Rapunzel and Eugene attend Elsa's coronation at the end of Frozen, and we know when that film takes place. Speaking of which, we know that Frozen and all of its nature ice magic is set in the small Scandinavian kingdom of Arendelle, in what is now modern-day Norway, exactly in the year 1843. That day we have thanks to a map dated 1840 that Anna and Elsa's parents had on their ship when it sank. And given that there's a 3-year time gap between that tragedy and the events of Frozen, it's just basic. Similarly, Frozen 2 is set 3 years after the first film, landing it in 1846. Jumping forward a couple of decades, we have Alice in Wonderland, which sees Alice exploring one of these strange prison worlds originally created by the Disney gods at the start of the whole timeline. A lot of weird stuff has been allowed to evolve here on its own, plus the Cheshire Cats, Card Kingdom,
You are supposed to be black.
Like Sleepy Hollow, Alice in Wonderland is based on a real book by Lewis Carroll, which took place in the 1860s. Unfortunately, not every movie is going to have a dated map or be based on a real book. For example, there's the Pecco Spill segment from Melody Time, based on the American cowboy folk hero. To date, this one, beyond just Old West times, we had to take a look at the clothes. Specifically, how one character is shown wearing a bustle. This was a part of a dress meant to push up the rear of the skirts and became a prominent part of American and British fashion in the 1870s. That lines up with the real-world legend of Pecos Bill, so that's where we're going to be planting this one. Similarly, bustles also show up in Cinderella, which places that movie in the 1870s, and the landscape of the kingdom shown in the film resembles the real-world region of Occitania in southern France, which tracks for the location. Also worth noting that this movie has yet another
There we go.
a wish-granting magical being like the genie and the fairy godmother, and small sentient
There.
critters like
That's
the
gonna be
mice,
the eye.
showing the impact star magic has had on the universe and just how different it is
Ow.
from our world. But another important thing that Cinderella does for us, it lets us place exactly where the Little Mermaid goes in our timeline. Here, let me explain. We know that the movie takes place on Prince Eric's island kingdom set in the Mediterranean, likely near the real-world island of Corsica. This would explain the various characters and visual influences from nearby European cultures like Britain, Italy, and France.
Just don't swim around rescuing people in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, you're gonna love it. Chef's been fixing this specialty. Stuffed crab.
Okay. 1, 2.
But the thing that really cements this time and place and why it's connected to Cinderella? Well, the king and the Grand Duke from Cinderella are shown attending Eric's wedding to Ursula, which was put together in less than a day. So Eric's kingdom would have to be close enough to southern France for them to make it to the ceremony on time. Corsica was even connected to France by telegraph by the year 1870, allowing for quick messages to make it to the characters of Cinderella. Plus, in Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True, the king and the Grand Duke rush off explaining,
We have important matters of state to attend to.
Important matters of state. Perhaps
1, 2, 3, 4,
wedding? They
5,
even pack up
6.
a ton of just random valuables, likely wedding gifts they had to get on a quick turnaround. And they return
7,
just 2 days later. All of it
8.
just fits. And just to dot our I's and cross our T's, the direct-to-video sequel, The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, references the opera singer Enrico Caruso.
When I was a teenager, I had this squeaky voice, and then one day I sound like Caruso.
Caruso's career began in the 1890s, so the first film being set in the 1870s would allow for Eric and Ariel to marry, enjoy life a bit, and then have a preteen daughter by the 1890s. Now, that took a bit of maneuvering to figure out, but something that's much easier for us, Home on the Range, which was set in the American Old West in 1889. The movie straight up lays this out for us thanks to a date listed on a deed. I love it when they make it just stupid easy for us, even if it's a stupid cow movie. Another easy one for us that is remarkably less stupid and cow-adjacent is The Jungle Book, set in India during the 1890s. We know this since that's the year that Rudyard Kipling's original book was published, and it's backed up by a line in the movie. It's the decade following Colonel Hati's service as a war elephant, which he references in this line.
1988 was
So, believe it or not, but placing most of these movies was actually easy compared to what we see in the rest of the films. Like, for real, how on earth do you figure out where Robin Hood, Chicken Little, and Zootopia go? How do you possibly go from what's in Lilo and Stitch to what we see in Treasure Planet? And Disney, the company, straight up exists in Wreck-It Ralph. How does that work? Well, loyal theorists, we figured all of that out and more. And if you want to find out how, you'll need to subscribe for part 2 when it comes out later this month. Don't forget to leave a comment with the code word for the princess you think would win in a fight. But for now, remember that it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Up next on Film Theory. And it's here where we come to another pivotal moment in Disneyverse, just from the sheer amount of important elements that all happened in one place. Pinocchio, which takes place in Italy.
Your home is your happy place until you come back to bad odors. Use Febreze plug-in. It alternates between 2 complementary scents to fight odors and provides freshness for up to 50 days. Try Febreze Plug.
Hey, how about you? You want to play me 101? Let's go.
Ooh, that's old.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory.
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. That's not right. 3, 6, 9, 10. There we go.
Actually, a little unsettling how into this theory everyone is. Plus, the process of getting through these last 5 excruciatingly historically inaccurate movies is
1.
so long that I literally don't have any time to waste today. No banter, no.
The Shamrock Shake, the McRib, Szechuan sauce, all beloved limited time offerings that have come and gone from our lives over and over. And the cycle continues even now because McDonald's just announced that the snack wrap is coming back, baby. But while everyone is celebrating, nobody is stopping to notice that these offerings coming back are a sign of trouble. A sign that the real limited time offering is McDonald's itself. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's
2, 3,
snack
4.
all wrapped up for you. And speaking of the snack wrap, make sure you're sitting down for this one because it is back. For those of you who don't remember, the McDonald's snack wrap was a total fast food unicorn. Warm, flavor, a punch of protein, enough green to make you feel like you're making healthy choices, all while not costing
1, 2,
a lot of
3,
green
4,
for
5,
your
6.
wallet. More specifically, it was a warm tortilla stuffed with lettuce, cheese, sauce, and that
7.
big, juicy chicken that we all know and love. And all for about $2, which obviously will be the same in today's economy, but still, given it had 14 grams of protein, which is roughly the equivalent of a 6-count McNugget, this is some serious value. So, if it was so
1, 2,
great,
3, 4,
where
5,
did
6,
it go,
7, 8.
right? Where do all these limited time offers go? The fast food upside down? A special Pokemon given to McDonald's
9.
managers? Of course not. That 2016, nearly 10 years ago. This move was met with plenty of outcry.
I think so.
Bro, don't fix
Thought
it.
it happened 7 months ago.
Don't take it away. People signed a petition, posted angry statuses, and probably shed some tears in front of those poor hourly employees, who, of course, had nothing to do with the decision. And what did McDonald's do? Nothing. Until now. Because like I mentioned, they're bringing it back. There is just one catch, though. It's still only for a limited time. That's right. This is another one of those while supplies last deals. But if there's clearly a market for the snack wrap, and based on the celebration of Claudia's return, they're sure to see once, and it's good enough to bring back. Why can't it stay? I mean, McDonald's runs out of supplies for burgers all the time. They just get more supplies. Same goes for the Shamrock Shake or the Szechuan sauce, or my personal favorite, the Double Biggie. Well, I'm looking into all of this. Not just the snack wrap, but into all the limited time items. And that was shocking. These limited time offerings returning are a sign that the Golden Arches are in serious trouble. So hold on to your McRibs, loyal theorists, as we uncover why the snack wrap might be a sign that it's a wrap for our old pal Ronald McDonald. Now, you may have never thought too much about these items that come and go. Sure, you get hype when it's that time of year, but then it's over and you just wait for the next day. Out of mind, out of sight. Like the pumpkin spice gang at Starbucks. One orange leaf falls in August and suddenly every Starbucks employee has to batten down the hatches. And then it's Christmas time and you might get a minty drink and so on and so forth. But you do always get some people that wonder why these fan favorites can't stay around all year long. The thing is, these limited time offerings are a super important part of the food industry and need to be that way. Limited. You know the drill. These snacks are here for a good time, not a long time, and the pressure is on you, loyal customer, to come in and get them before it's too late. It's really economics 101. Less supply equals more demand. You know what else is a limited time offering? My time. I have limited time to offer. You get it. Not my best. Moving on. That's why I'm so grateful for today's sponsor, Factor. I could spend an entire Sunday making my kitchen look like a giant meatball exploded in there, or I can spend my time doing literally anything else and getting ready-to-eat meals right to my door that I can heat up and munch on in just 2 minutes. That is where Factor comes in. You don't have to do any prep work, meal planning, or the best part for me, cleanup. Plus, the food isn't just slapped together like Tom's 2 brain cells when he thinks of his super clever insults for me. It's chef-crafted and dietitian approved and gives you so much flexibility when you order. You can add more meals or pause your deliveries in case you're traveling around and don't want to come back to a pile of spoiled food. What I love about Factor is that customization. I can tell them that I love red meat and they prioritize it in my next shipment of meals. Plus, they have these amazing juices. And the only ingredients they have, the juices of the fruitses. So when I'm back from the gym and hate my life, all I have to do is pop one of these meals in from my fridge and bam! In just a couple of minutes, I'm getting a meal that gives me all the protein I need for them days. And because the brain is just as important for a theorist, I can wash it down with the orange carrot ginger juice. So don't waste your limited time and head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50foodtheory to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50foodtheory at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That way you can get to snacking on that while we talk about snack wrap. On the one hand, if these items were always around, there would naturally be less demand for them. With no ticking clock, people don't need to rush to their closest store to avoid the disappointment of missing out. So why go through all the trouble of sending customers on an emotional roller coaster to begin with? Why all the will they, won't they menu drama? Well, first of all, your favorite answer, corporate greed. A huge part really is that these items make a ton of money, especially if they go viral and hit the digital stratosphere. The super mega popular Grimace Shake in 2023 skyrocketed their sales by more than double in the quarter it released. Granted, not every limited time item is that popular or does that well, but they usually bring in a healthy amount of revenue by themselves. And it's best believed that every time they bring it back, they can make it just a bit more expensive and people will still pay it no matter what because of the psychological trick of limited supply. We think, hey, I can't get this year round, so I'll pay what I have to now, even if we know it's coming back next year. Take the Shamrock Shake, which is currently in the on-again phase of its on-again, off-again relationship with customers. It was actually the first LTO brought to us by McDonald's, specifically a franchise owner in Connecticut all the way back in 1967. While it had various iterations over the years, some less successful than others, looking at you, Shamrock Sunday, at this point it has graduated from being a strictly limited release to being a seasonal. These days, fans can expect it to resurface like a groundhog in the spring, usually in February, and lasts until all the St. Patrick's Day decorations have come down at the end of March. But it doesn't stop people from hounding for it. The money these items make, though, is more of a bonus. The real reason limited time items are a mainstay on the tool belt of the fast food industry is that they create buzz and get people in the door. Sometimes places will use items that aren't seasonal to create even more chatter around the restaurant. For McDonald's, it's the McRib. It comes and goes without much rhyme or reason. First introduced in 1981, it was eventually discontinued because of poor
2, 3, 4, 5,
simply won't
6.
die. No matter how hard Ronald tries to wash his hands of this barbecue-covered pork treat. Its first comeback was in 1989, 4 years after its initial cancellation, and it actually lasted as a permanent menu item in a lot of countries until 2005. Then, at weird intervals, it kept coming back back until 2022 when it had a massive farewell tour. Yeah, and then returned a bunch of times since then. But every time it did, people posted, memes, commented,
2, 3, 4,
whether you like
5,
it or
6,
not,
7.
it's on your mind, and the next time you're hungry, you suddenly feel a strange, otherworldly pull to your
8.
local McDonald's. But the limitations aren't just for us, they're for the restaurants too. These end up costing a lot of money. I mean, think about it. They use ingredients that don't really pop up anywhere else on the regular menu. They have to spend a lot of money for the ingredients of just one item. And sure, sometimes they get lucky with Grimace Shake and can still make a bunch of cash, but more often than not, these items are what are known as loss leaders. Basically, restaurants will take a loss or just make a lot less profit for each one sold, with the idea that they can sell their more profitable things alongside it. You know what goes great with a Shamrock Shake? Fries. The fries are so salty and make you thirsty, so you get a medium drink too. And the shake is more of a dessert, so obviously you're gonna get a burger. All items that have much higher profit margins for the Golden Arches. Not only that, but according to a former corporate chef at McDonald's, the novelty of the items usually wears off after trying them once, and then people revert back to their regular go-to foods, which in turn makes McDonald's more money. Let's recap for a second. These LTOs are great at driving traffic and making people spend money on other things that are more profitable for the restaurant. But they need to be seasonal or else people won't feel the need to go to the restaurant. There's no hype, and the restaurants can't afford to pay for premium ingredients that are only used on one item on their menu year-round. They tug on our heartstrings and abandonment issues by dangling these delicious treats in our faces for just a few weeks a year. It makes sense, right? So you might be wondering what the problem is with the snack wrap coming back. Well, things have changed, like inflation, wage increases, ingredient shortages, and cost increases. Things we've covered before, and all things that have led to those oh-so-profitable items being less profitable for McDonald's, even with them increasing the prices an astronomical amount in some.
The Ferrero Rocher chocolate bar. Crunchy hazelnuts, smooth chocolate, creamy filling.
The light is adding a shadow and I can't see what the fuck I'm doing.
Celebrating. Ferrero Rocher.
Skip the pricey produce aisles and start growing your own veggies at home with Miracle Grow Organic.
I'm trying, but my cucumbers keep dying.
Ingredients for 100% organic harvest. Miracle Grow Organics. No better way to grow.
In some places, like the $18 Big Mac in Connecticut. It's gotten so bad that the Big Mac is on the verge of moving from the backbone of the entire company to a loss leader. McDonald's has had a stranglehold on the fast food market for decades, but the recent past hasn't been as kind to it. From 2013 to 2020, revenue saw a steady and serious decline, losing them billions of dollars. Even now that they've managed to slow the bleeding, they still haven't returned to those early 2010s levels of revenue. And once you factor in inflation, that means some serious warning bells. Enter the new and improved, or same and exactly the same, snack wrap. Now, this is a bit different from the other LTOs we've covered because it was discontinued 10 years ago and we never heard another peep. They never meant for it to come back. Chef Mike, the former corporate chef, confirmed that not only was it not as profitable, which isn't a surprise for LTOs, but the snack wrap ingredients took up a lot of space in the kitchens and the wrap itself was also just harder to make. That means more time, which equates to either more dissatisfied customers tired of waiting or restaurants spending more on employee training and labor. Either way, costs. So if it was so bad for business that it ended up getting the axe, why is McDonald's bringing it back a decade after so publicly declaring defeat? You might argue that chicken is cheaper than beef now and the wrap is definitely coming back at a higher price point than before, but the real reason is McDonald's is desperately trying to get us to come back by expanding more than ever their LTOs. See, the snack wrap isn't the only thing that came back after an insane amount of time. The celebrity dishes that started with Travis Scott's meal back in 2020 were actually started in the early 90s with Michael Jordan. And when did they bring these meals back? In what was looking to be one of the worst economic years for them thanks to the pandemic. And since then, they haven't stopped, with WNBA star Angel Reese being the most recent addition to the celebrity menu deal. For almost 30 years, Mickey D's...
I know there's a better way to do this, I just don't know
Since
it.
they brought them back in 2020, they've
Or
done
it takes
fine.
equipment
Then
and
there's
I
the increase
don't
in
have money
Happy
for
Meal
equipment.
promotions, ranging from the adult Happy Meals with Cactus Plant Flea Market and Kerwin Frost to Boo Buckets and Crop Clips and most recently Pokemon. Even the Shamrock Shake is being accompanied by the return of Grimace's long-lost Uncle O'Grimacy, who was exiled back in the 80s. No doubt because of how popular the Grimace Shake was at getting people to come back to McDonald's. At this point, limited
limited time offerings aren't seeming so limited. The window between announcements has been shrinking ever so slightly. Even the snack wrap is going to be accompanied by an entire expansion to their chicken portfolio, according to the McDonald's CEO. It's not just the snack wrap, it's one thing after the other after the other. See, the crazy thing about all of this is that while McDonald's is clearly in big trouble, they're not going quietly. And the unlimited LTOs might be a winning strategy. While profits aren't what they used to be, they have been steadily on the rise
Granny,
since
she
2020
ain't
when the
what you to be, ain't what you used to be, ain't
that
what
the
you used to
McRib
be.
will be back for good, or
I
will they
remember
get
that
another
Simpsons
shake
for the
to
first
continue
time.
the grimmest war?
I'm
Gone
like
are the
black.
days of enjoying a limited time item and waiting patiently for the next.
Well,
Instead,
thanks for the
there are
thumbs up,
barrage
guys.
of items being thrown at us left, right,
All the
and
best.
center by McDonald's to get us coming back. And while McDonald's may be seeing some success now, there will come a point where it's no longer sustainable to have premium ingredients or split profits with celebrities. And when that happens, just like their chicken, it'll
Where
be a wrap
is the
for
black
McDonald's.
thread?
But hey, that's just theory. Food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, if you like this episode, make sure to click the link on the screen now to learn all about the Uber Eats conspiracy. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Alright, calm down. I'm just looking for black thread. I have spools of it. Just outside of my line of sight. That's the only issue. Got it.
What is the secret to the
Okay, come here.
It's a great question that's been circulating around the internet for the last 5 years. And that is what I aim to answer
Oh,
today.
nice. I
And
have
let me
some.
tell you, the truth is in the place that you least suspected. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the channel that hits different. For a while now, the Internet's been obsessed with the fizzy mystery that is McDonald's Sprite. In case you've never had it, it's like perfectly chilled liquid pop rocks bursting with lemon lime flavor. The general consensus is that the Sprite being served out of McDonald's soda fountain is stronger, giving it an electric or even a spicy taste.
I need to order a Sprite extra spicy.
Extra spicy?
Others have said that this stuff is
Alright,
so
so-
powerful it could probably fry fish. My personal favorite flavor comparison, though, is that it tastes like what a Super Saiyan 2 looks like. Crisp and full of lightning. It's even gotten to the point where McDonald's and Sprite themselves have had to acknowledge this trend.
Hey everybody, Chris K here. I'm in the mood for some spice. First, the spicy.
But obviously, circulating the internet boil down to 4 key factors. The first is that the Sprite syrup getting shipped to the restaurants gets special treatment due to a long-standing partnership between Coke and McDonald's.
Coke sends syrup in plastic bags to other restaurants and stores. They send the syrup to McDonald's in stainless steel containers.
The second theory is that the carbonation levels are just higher at McDonald's.
So you get more carbonation. That's why it
The flavor of the Sprite. And finally, some have thrown all of that other stuff away and said that there's no difference, but rather everything's the result of McDonald's having a larger straw. Apparently the straw is bigger than different? Is it different? Or is this just a self-fulfilling prophecy started by the internet hype machine that now everyone just implicitly believes? Get ready, theorists! Today we get to my big taste experiment, putting all these theories to the test. Large stainless steel tank.
This is the result of a long-standing relationship between the two companies. And right off the bat, this one does seem to be rooted in some amount of truth. You see, the relationship between Coke and served to other restaurants for less, even if it means costing them business. There's even a division at Coca-Cola dedicated to specifically McDonald's business, aptly named the McDonald's division. Look, they're seeing the creature. But does any of this actually affect the way that syrup is being shipped? Yes, it does. You see, the concept of delivering is indeed syrup. According to James McIntyre, a franchise owner from Pennsylvania, there's plastic bags that everyone else is using. That's right. Right off the bat. Next up, the water quality and overall level of carbonation. As hype around McDonald's soda has circulated across the internet for the past 5 years, various sources have started to come clean. Before it ever makes it to the soda tower. This process
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm short one of them.
Which in turn helps remove dissolved minerals, bacteria, and solids. This makes the water virtually tasteless before the syrup gets mixed in.
Where is the giant sheet of black fabric I just had? Oh, there it is.
Water line directly to the machine. Rarely are they incorporating filters. This makes the process simpler and cheaper, but apparently McDonald's isn't afraid to spend a little bit more. But it's not all about purity. Once the water is squeaky clean and tasteless, the next step in the process is for them to make it sub-zero. Alright, not exactly sub-zero, but just really, really cold. See, the other big difference is the temperature that McDonald's keeps everything at. Normally, other soda fountains are set to flash chill their sodas as they're being dispensed, so that they come out cold, but not cold. The Golden on the other hand, are pre-chilling not only the filtered water, but also the syrup to the perfect range between 33 and 38 degrees Fahrenheit, just above freezing temperature. This range is important because it's the optimal temperatures for the carbonation of the water. You see, CO2, or carbon dioxide, the chemical compound that makes fizzy drinks fizz, has a higher rate of absorption and dispersion in colder liquids. In other words, the colder the liquid is, the more carbonation it's able to have. This is why warm drinks tend to go flat quicker. The gas is able to escape more easily. So with the Sprite's water and syrup both being pre-chilled, it's preventing any unwanted fluctuations in temperature when the water and syrup get mixed together in the soda fountain. In other words, the claim that McDonald's Sprite is more carbonated is technically true, but not for the reasons that you would expect. It appears like it has more to do with
Yeah.
is actually higher than what's being served up in a typical bottle or can of Sprite, thereby making their soda sweeter and thus more flavorful or stronger to the drinkers. This is one, though, that McDonald's themselves have publicly shut down, saying that there's no special formula they have. That said, I'm not just going to naturally trust the corporation. Can we take their word for it? The answer is actually somewhere between yes and no. While McDonald's claims to strictly adhere to the Coca-Cola standard of 1 water syrup ratio or 1 ounce of syrup.
What did I do with Brady? No, I don't need you anymore. Back in there.
Drink, meaning that they have a slightly higher syrup content, and it's done so that once ice is added, you're tasting the equivalent of the standard 1 to 5 ratio. So, pro tip to all the watching, don't skip the ice the next time you drink at McDonald's. You're gonna ruin the ratio. You'll ruin the art, and it'll just be a tad bit too sweet. So we've got our cup of Sprite straight out of the fountain, nice and cold with just the right amount of ice and flavor, but there's still something at work here. The fries. Rumor number 3 states that McDonald's hired sensory scientists to help optimize how the sweet Sprite designed to match the saltier flavor of their fries. Now, according to my research, this has never been outright confirmed, but it is known that the company well, but that's not all. Back in the 1880s, when cars were powered by Flintstones, fries at McDonald's were fried using beef tallow instead of the canola oil that's used today. This made for an insanely rich, savory fry taste. Unfortunately, beef tallow was also incredibly unhealthy. So in the 90s, when the public grew more concerned about the saturated fats in their foods, they made the switch to plain old vegetable oil. Customers obviously started to complain, so McDonald's began flavoring out there that have been happening much but hey,
we've already got tons of West Step ones.
Twisted Tea fans love the smooth, refreshing taste of Twisted Tea.
but hey, part of a lawsuit because of that very fact. Anyway, today their French fries still contain that rich umami flavor from the added beef flavoring and salt. Couple that with refreshing acidity and sweetness. In describing the perfect balance of sugar, these two fast but none of it is gonna matter if you're just guzzling the Sprite like an animal. And this, my friends, is where one of the smallest parts of this process makes itself the biggest difference: the straw. Hypothesis number one: size. Second, third, and fourth. For example, are actually wider than normal. Yeah, the diameter of a
Thrilling, I know. Try to contain yourself, chat.
Now, that might not sound like that much, but it's enough of the difference that a normal straw can actually fit inside of the McDonald's one. And just changing the allowing you to warm it up more aroma and flavor through organic compounds, or VOCs. For VOCs produce aromas that are intensified and become more complex when they warm up. That's why if you were to just take a giant swig of freezing Sprite, you'd barely be able to taste much outside of the brain freeze that's ravaging your head. But with a straw, it limits the amount of liquid that you can take into your mouth at a time, which lets it warm up briefly and at the same time improves air circulation in the mouth when you drink. The straw is also helping out with the carbonation because, while a straw might seem smooth to us, there are actually tons of tiny little bumps and imperfections can go crazy. Or at least that's how the science should be. But does any of this actually make that substantial difference? It's finally time to put all these variables to the test. Take it away, live action Matt Pat.
Alright, so with all our variables set and ready to go, it's time to actually put our money where our mouth is. Or put our Sprite where our mouth is. I am our representative, Rachel. Is that the lore that I should build for you at this point?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds fancier than I am.
Side by side, is the best.
There. 10 eyeballs. Ready for bodies. Another hunger all of my legs.
Playing a factor in all of this. And then lastly, we have the fries. Right over here. It's lunchtime.
I don't want to put these on tonight. I'm done sewing. I did good. I got 2 giant squid done. So I'm going to call that enough. I still need to make stingrays. But I want to see if I can fit some faces on these.
Well, I think with the fries, I think we're gonna like that for the vibes.
For the vibes.
Yeah.
Purely vibes. Purely all the vibes.
But I don't think they're gonna be that different.
I firmly disagree.
Really?
100%. Long-term viewers of our channel will know that I can team restaurant franchises. I can tell you different Diet Cokes. I wouldn't be surprised if this piece is exactly different. So without any further ado, let's try to get moving, shall we?
You want to
This is do we have a camera here? Follow me or something?
just a talent.
Okay. Pleasant.
Sprite.
Tastes like Sprite. It's not as carbonated, but this is a good baseline of Sprite. Not as carbonated as I expected, but also doesn't have that sweetness that you associate.
Well balanced.
Yeah, it's actually a very smooth, Sprite. Right. I don't either.
This feels flatter.
2 of these are from the last batch. So 4, 8, 12. I got done with these bitches done. Now to find something to stick them on. Again, you're the first one I picked up, so. So cute. Alright, let's fuck him up. Leave him with his heart. It's not bad. Make him a little flatter. It's something.
So Sprite all really tastes the same.
Yeah.
Like a contrast?
There's differences in carbonation, but I feel like
No.
It does feel like the taste is consistent across the board.
Yeah.
It is
No.
purely based on carbonation and less to do with.
I'm thinking of this guy.
the more carbonation it feels like
Might get rid of the heart.
whereas like this is more
Okay, let's put the heart back.
The other ones have this airy feel.
We did an episode a long time ago about champagne and about how the glass bottles of the champagne might pour into glass because it's able to retain the smaller bubbles better. And so I'm wondering if the glass bottle of the Sprite is actually playing into that in some way. Is something similar. I was able to do that one too. Sorry. I should have offered it to your team first. My bad. This is so.
It looks like a little monster. Now let's get you. This one might not be. Still might be too big. Oh, twisted. Sure. Hit you with that.
What is the most different Sprite? They all, to me, this one, I get a little bit of a sense of the can.
Oh my god.
This one tastes a bit watery because of the ice. This one is very bubbly, straw relative to the other ones. But as far as the flavor difference, not a ton. And I'm surprised. My hypothesis, like I said at the beginning of this thing, my hypothesis was that it would be very easy to tell a flavor difference between all 4 of these in much the same way that you did that.
Alright.
Sit here, I think I'm
One at a time. Gonna go with this guy?
So with round 1 of the test complete, I think let's move on to the big boy straws. So this is what McDonald's is primed to give you, right?
Actually, you're gonna get that way.
Yours is better than mine.
I have a 4-year-old. I do it slightly different.
That's valid.
I believe, speaking of my 4-year-old, I blew Ollie's mind one time.
It's kinda. I could bump up the bow. And then I could put some things with him, so he's gonna get that one. Not this guy. Very vintage.
We have a bigger boy straw. So now it's time to compare the flavor of the two, right? Does the higher volume of stuff that you're getting in your mouth in this one complement this type of Sprite? Does
The head's too
taste go?
small.
Does it affect the amount of carbonation and bubbles that you're tasting? So, without any further ado, back to the rounds.
Let's get blue. Actually, you're gonna go with him.
It still tastes like Sprite.
the same.
Spoiler alert. Drinking it through a big straw has not
No.
changed the fact.
Sad bear's going over here. Yes, that works.
Oh, thank you.
The Ferrero Rocher.
Hi, what are you making? Oh, hi, are you still there? I'm trying to figure out what faces go on these bodies.
Make any moment worth
So,
celebrating.
I got some picked out, but
Ferrero Rocher.
we're still working on it.
Skip the price of produce
Hee.
aisles and start growing
I can't help it. I love the Cthulhu horror.
Miracle Grow Organics. 100% organic ingredients for 100%
I might be going with this darker one though.
organics.
Kind of like that. So you're gonna get this one. And I have a couple of bears that I had to absolutely gut. Like, fully gut. Because they were so attic-y. Like, and they were stuffed with that old stuffing that just had no give to it. So.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because the straw has.
Need to restuff this guy. Let's see if we can just give him an idea what he's supposed to look like. And they've got the joints. These are handmade bears.
You're gonna get less bubbly overall, and that's exactly what I'm tasting here. This one, the smaller straw is giving me stuff that is decidedly more.
Like I couldn't just not use them.
This is a much more balanced flavor for this guy. Ah.
Anyway.
I'm curious to get your opinion. I don't want to color any judgment. Really?
Stir it again. I think for some reason you almost lose the carbonation with the small straw and it comes back more with the big one. I don't think.
Oh, I like that. All right, that's gonna be you. You got more stuffing I need. All right. In that case, let's see the other bears.
Sicko mode. Like, I'm drinking the whole thing. It's not giving me much of a flavor difference, but it's giving me like. Yeah, it's a weird mouthfeel thing, right? Where I get more fluid hitting my mouth faster is more satisfying.
Not at all.
In some way, and when I'm drinking this, I find it much more enjoyable going through this straw than this straw.
Okay. These are two other bears that I've had to dismantle to wash. I think green goes with you. We'll begin with this one. Okay. These two are twins.
Too small, they create too much carbonation, and as a result, I don't get the flavor of the soda as much as just a bunch of bubbles, and I don't like that much carbonation.
That's significantly different.
Right.
Carbonation.
Yeah, between the two.
Yeah, the flavor stays the same.
Yeah.
They're all the right thing, but the carbonation affects the flavor.
It does. 100% across the board in every single one of these. Big straw.
That one's gonna get this. That one's gonna get that. This one feels plain in comparison.
Maybe McDonald's secret sauce here isn't so much about like.
I don't really like the color. I like the green. Alright, those guys are going over here.
But what's interesting, right?
Alright.
As I would continue to drink this, as I get like overwhelmed with the flavor of Sprite, I appreciate a
few more to go.
Watered down, icy. You know, this is the guy that has.
Do I have any volunteers from the table?
The other ones are just like pure unconcentrated.
Once, going twice.
So, like you said, this one tastes.
You've already lost your head.
Different as a result of that. It tastes more mild. It's more soothing, and so like I feel like I can drink more of this. And this one at this point is like my favorite of these because it's not just cloying.
Yeah, it does feel more refreshing. I feel like that's if I had to drink all of one of these, that one's bigger. So I don't know if that's fair, but I would drink more of that one.
Yeah, it's mellower now at this point. Again,
Okay, I found another victim. I mean volunteer.
I actually like it better. So maybe what the conclusion here is that normal.
They got some little bears, but they're too small for the faces. The face, there's not a fabric to cover the entire. See, it's just too big. So he can't help with anything. I have this weird thing that might go right there, actually. Good. We hold him. Let's see. Just gonna shove his snout into his face for a moment. Getting vibes from this one. I think that's super cute. So I'm gonna go with this. We're down to 3. We're doing good. I have a bag that I got the other day.
I almost think the opposite, right? Where I think
hello. Oh no, you're all washed. You just got put in a bag to get off the floor. Okay. Over there for a minute, please.
Which balances against the like salt and greasiness of the fry. If you were to ask me which one I would want, just like by natural impulse, which one are you drinking with these fries?
It's not bad. Little piggy over here. I think his face will just fit. Okay. These guys are too small.
Right? They're is
Actually, I think you'll fit there if I'm lucky, and that just leaves me with this one.
which makes it slightly more refreshing.
My favorite.
There's an element of the straw, which makes it more consumable. And then, yeah, as I keep going back to the other sprites, all the other sprites have just that, again, like such a strong flavor as opposed to this guy, which is different in a good way.
Yeah, top tier.
Top tier.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah, and yeah, it's top tier and not in a way that you can clearly articulate, but is better.
Yeah.
So there you have it. After rigorous testing and absolutely attacking our stomachs with sugar, we found that McDonald's Sprite does indeed hit different, but not for the reasons you might expect. To start, the carbonation was actually less in the McDonald's Sprite than the others. We didn't really feel that snap, crackle, or pop, but you know what? It worked, and we're not the only ones to think so.
This one kind of tasted too fizzy for me. I actually kind of like these.
The lack of carbonation there was a real surprise considering the science behind the McDonald's process. The cold filtered water should have allowed for more carbonation, but the ice and the rate at which the plastic cup heated up might have affected the fizziness. We also found that the flavor was milder and a little bit sweeter. Ultimately, it amounted to an overall more pleasant experience, and was the drink that we agreed would be the one that we'd keep coming back to. But in the end, the one variable that made the biggest difference across all the taste tests, the bigger straw. A fact that, I gotta be honest, was absolutely shocking to me. The wider straw made the perfect balance so you got enough fluid so you could taste the flavors, but also adding in just the right amount of bubbles. And even though Rachel and I didn't quite see eye to eye on what made the Fountain Sprite our favorite to partner with the fries, it was in a different league than any of the others in terms of how refreshing it was to drink and how well it worked with all
I am so fucking lucky.
In the end, the secret to McDonald's Sprite wasn't a matter of taste, which
I just checked out the 2 bags in the other room that I haven't had a chance to go through yet. They're all pre-washed. Someone dropped them off already washed to me. They're all perfectly clean. Oh, they smell so good. Thank you. Oh my god, I gotta find out who sent them to me. I think I might do this one right here. Yeah, alright. It's not ideal, but it'll work. Oh shit, where's the hot glue gun?
It's
the quenchiest.
Food theory.
Ow.
Bottoms up.
Okay. Alright. I'm gonna... Oh, shit. I found it! Okay. This is gonna get real messy real quick. Alright.
The PC MasterCard doesn't limit how much you can earn.
I want a more orange. I'll put this back with inlaid. I think I can anyway. Here we go. Maybe. I won't be able to finish a lot of these tonight, but if I can get the whatchamacallit, the basic parts on, the faces on.
3 episodes, 3 chances to find the perfect solution to combat spicy food. And this year, I think we've done it. Tremble in fear, all your restaurants with hot wing challenges. The theorists are going to be coming to dominate your walls of fame. After today's episode, I promise that you'll
more
be
pink,
to handle
so
nearly anything they
a
can
bigger bow.
how high those chefs crank up the heats. That said, the Giants actually stand up to the ultimate test. The moment when the hottest thing in spicy food turns cold.
Oh no, that was such a small amount.
That's it. Here's the ride.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the only show that tries to be spicy, but is actually just a bit bitter. Bitter about never making it on the hot ones, is.
It's the show with hot questions, even hotter wings.
You've been following our spicy saga over the
Where am I
last
gonna
3
put this
years,
stuffing?
and I'm aware that I've been recreating my own science.
Just stuff it back in the other squishmallow.
Finally invited to meet my unrequited internet love, Sean Emmons. The premise of the show is simple. Sean eats spicy wings and does in-depth interviews of all the hottest Hollywood celebrities, and the occasional YouTuber when they need to fill out the guest list. And yet, my attempt to copy him in a legally unenforceable way has been unnoticed, ignored. I am Hello Neighbor, he is my MatPat. So you know what? Who needs it? Today, we ascend. In this, our final part
That's what I'm
of the
gonna do.
spicy food
Stuff it right back in.
ourselves to his show's signature sauce, the last dab. Oh, we're getting hotter. We're going more extreme than the Scoville scale. The final
There we
boss
go.
of today's
episode requires a waiver and passing not just one, but 2 separate spice tolerant tests in order to even buy it. It is without question the single spiciest bite of food I've ever consumed. Heck, if you take a bite of this that's the size of a grain of rice, your mouth is going to be feeling it for the next 20 minutes. This right here, this is the concluding chapter to the trilogy. There's no better way to go out than to go big. Before we get there though, we gotta come as prepared as possible. That means another series of spicy solutions that need to be tested. Hopefully you've seen the previous episodes that request find the perfect spice solution, but if not, link is in the top right corner of the description, or I can just catch you up right now. Overall, we all know the general stuff that you're supposed to do. Drink milk, eat bread, don't drink water, all that sort of good stuff. But I've been convinced that there are better, smarter, more effective science.
Looks more like a cat now.
Cool those flavor flames, I want to extinguish them. And so, using both suggestions or research,
Let's not get these mixed up. Because if I do, then I will be so aggravated.
Negative app, what is wrong with you?
In general, we find that the perfect spice solutions try to check off as many boxes on this list. They've got to be cold, they've got to be sweet, and they've got to be thick with as many C's as possible. They're also ideally full of dairy, which contains casein, a protein that's able to dissolve capsaicin, the molecules in food that make it spicy. Lastly, the ideal spice solution is acidic. You see, capsaicin on the pH scale is basic, so counteracting it with something acidic like lemon or lime juice is going to help neutralize the capsaicin that's lingering in your mouth. That right there, that is our list of must-haves. We've also learned to stay far away from anything that contains alcohol, which just activates the same TRPV1 receptors that capsaicin does in the mouth, irritating them in a very similar way. So far, our top spicy food solutions have been sweet lime seducer, a honey peanut butter mixture, and at the top of the heap, a cold custard milkshake, specifically from our local ice cream chain, Good Berries. All of them are good, each checking off 2 or 3 of the qualities on our list, but none of them are truly great, especially when up against the toughest and spiciest contenders. So our reactions from last year.
How are you holding up? He's getting there, and I cannot stretch you any further. Okay.
And it tastes like fire. What do you mean? Oh, the flavor. It tastes like charcoal and fire.
So without further ado,
Charcoal and fire.
spicy. Let's set up this test. Yes, my friends, this is the final episode in our trilogy of spicy food challenge solution episodes.
That's your sweet 50.
Until next year when we decide to reboot the whole thing. So what are we actually testing here today? We are testing a combination of solutions that you've submitted over the last year. We're also testing a combination of things that we have researched ourselves, like new solutions. There's some returning favorites from past years. Basically, this is the epic Super Smash Bros. Crossover episode of all your favorite spicy food solutions. But only one will be able to walk away as the supreme leader of spicy food solutions.
Which may be more than I can say for myself. I may not walk away from this episode. I may just peel off the chair at some point.
Yeah, there will be 1 winner today and 2 losers. And those losers are the 2 of us.
Oh, yeah.
So, the layout for this episode is basically...
Yeah, let's start with the piggy pig.
So we
Jesus.
have a solution of 7 different spicy food solutions that you guys have submitted. We're going to put them
Little
to the
flowers on her
base
cheeks.
level of spicy wing, and then we're going to take our favorite of those solutions and put them up against the
Not hot enough yet. Okay.
So, the hot
Let's put you over here for now.
olive sauce. But then,
And we can... Yeah, you're not hot enough yet.
I'm sorry,
You're hot enough.
there's
Alright.
something that's even more
Alright, Biggie, over there for a
even
minute.
more creative.
Your face is off, your face is off, your face is
That
in.
we're having that's hotter than the thing that melted my face off last year.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
It
guys.
is, it is hotter, it is more sinister, it throws all sorts of monkey wrenches into the works, and it is something that I've been trying to get Stephanie to test out for years.
Oh, no.
So now that she's stuck on camera with me, she's forced to do it with me, with all the spicy food solutions available to us.
Oh, I know what this is.
You jerk.
So join us, friends,
Oh,
as we
dear.
go about our spicy food journey. Just wish us luck. Prepare yourself, your bowels, and your nations.
Yeah, my colitis would just end my life at that point.
Bring out the wings. I am hungry and need to feed.
That's weird.
Round number 1, perfume? Okay, so it's probably best to give this one a bit of explaining. This may sound like a really weird choice, but it's actually coming from a pretty reliable source. Hot Ones themselves, or at least the wider First Week Feast team. You see, back in 2020, the team posted on Facebook this video of how sniffing perfume could help you lessen the burn of drinking alcohol.
So sniff it and then take the shot.
That worked. You don't feel it.
Obviously, we're eating spicy food and not downing shots, but alcohol activates the same TRPV1 receptors that capsaicin does, irritating them in a very similar way. So if it's good enough for a drink, maybe it's good enough for a spicy wing? No, I don't think there's no way that this one works, right? Because at the end of the day, this isn't
Yummy.
a flavor, right? You're smelling stuff, which is changing your perception of the flavor. There's an actual chemical reaction that's happening in your mouth where pain receptors are being activated. So no amount of smell or perceptual change is going to affect the fact that this chemical reaction is happening in your tongue. There's no chance.
I'm inclined to agree with you, but we've been really surprised on episodes of Food Theory before about things that work and things that don't work.
Yeah.
And frankly, I gotta lay it on the line here. I have to go into this with some level of optimism because otherwise, we have 6 rounds in front of us and I might not make it.
All right, so I guess the question is then, are you going with Le Gardon de Mysterie, or are you going with
Unlabeled bottle that I got several years ago. Okay, ready?
Ready, ding? What are you doing? What are you doing? Quick note, we realized early on that these wings weren't going to be hot enough to get good data for the test, so we paused and resauced the wings, only to then overshoot the mark and make them a wee bit too spicy. I guess spicier is better than nothing. Anyway, it was time to restart the test with a respray. I was assuming Steph would spray the perfume on her wrist or maybe her chest, but instead she went with the much more unconventional option. I still, no need to respray.
The fuck, Steph?
Why?
Why would you spray it in your eyes?
Go. The perfume is doing nothing except providing a very confusing.
Smell my wrist. Smell my wrist. Is it helping?
No.
Is it helping?
Maybe. It's very, it distracts me.
Oh yeah, I tried to dye this one. And it just applied the fabric on the inside.
I can tell you right now, the reason for this is twofold. One is it's distracting you from the heat in your mouth. 2, though, the air isn't passing through your mouth. There's that impulse to breathe through your mouth and go, I want to breathe out the heat. But instead, it's forcing you to breathe through your nose, which actually makes it feel better. Like, talking to you right now is literal agony for me. I hate every word that's coming out of my mouth because I'm literally breathing flames. But when I do this, it still burns. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you still feel it, but it's less sharp. So in terms of, like, solutions, low, but effective. It's not a net negative. It's not nothing, but it's low. So let's go through this. Let's do another one.
Yeah, let's go.
Round number 2! No?
The Ferrero Rocher chocolate bar. Crunchy hazelnuts, smooth chocolate, creamy filling. Make any moment worth celebrating. Ferrero Rocher.
Skip the pricey produce aisles and start growing your own veggies at home with Miracle Grow Organics. 100% organic ingredients for 100% organic harvest. Miracle Grow Organics. No better way to grow.
Now let's plug. The general idea here is the same as round number 1, which is like, hey, if you can't smell what you're eating, is it gonna make it better? Again, I don't think that this is gonna do a whole lot because, as we saw in the last round, it's not so much about the smell as it is about where the airflow is going and being distracted from the burning that's happening in your mouth.
I actually think this is going to make it worse because it's going to force us to breathe through our mouth, and that's actually the worst place you could breathe through in this circumstance.
You know, I think as we're pursuing new merch options for our fall or even winter launch, I feel the Food Theory nose plugs might be a worthwhile endeavor. All right, here we go. Huh. This is weird. It's not doing anything. It's literally not doing. Like, if you compare our reaction last time,
Oh my god, I'm
to
fine.
where we are, I'm fine.
Oh my god, I'm fine.
This is insane. This is shocking to me. Here, wait, I want to try another bite.
I can't believe this. I'm not supposed to not say anything in these reactions, but I'm actually like speechless. I can't believe this worked. The only place I feel it is all the way in the back of my palate.
Right now, I'm feeling it in the back of my throat.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it like around the edge where I got sauce here.
Yeah.
But the middle of my mouth is actually totally
Yeah,
fine.
my tongue, which is where last round
Wow.
I was feeling it.
I was dying.
Yeah,
I was dying.
I'm fine. Like,
Wow.
I can go back in and do multiple bites of this.
This is not the result I expected at all.
This is why.
I'm holding this on here for my own benefit at this point. It's so much less spicy. It's not completely not spicy.
No.
But we're talking.
Yeah.
We're functioning normally. I'm not falling off my chair right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the overreaction of like, I'm crying right now.
Let's begin.
I'm breathing fire right now. I feel it, and I definitely feel it in my like soft palate, back of my throat, back of everything.
Dude, you go into these episodes, we expect 0 of these things to work. We expect it to be miserable the entire time. This one works.
This is unbelievable.
Dude, this works.
This might be the single most effective solution of any that we've done in history.
I can't believe that.
I am dumbfounded.
I know. I also, like you, thought that, like, hey, this is a chemical reaction happening in my tongue. Breathing or smelling is not going to affect this, but it totally does. My mouth feels warm.
Yeah, I feel
It doesn't feel like super happy, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I can tell that I would be feeling an uncomfortable amount of spice.
Where is the
If I
little
was
scissors? These
on the
guys.
fact that, for whatever, I don't know again if I'm focusing on
It's just keeping a lid on it.
Yeah, it's dampened significantly. So,
Ooh, my back.
after this episode, after we're done here,
Ugh.
all this misery is over with, look this up.
When's my next appointment with my chiropractor?
This is incredible. I got your back there, live action Matt Pat. As we're all familiar with at this point, the sensation of flavor is actually a combination of taste and smell. This happens
Where's the
because
red one? The red one's the one I need.
through your nasal passages. These food odors are detected by receptor proteins on hair and cilia at the top of the sensory cells in your nerves, which then send messages to the brain. Even though it's a chemical
Stop
reaction
it.
taking place in your tongue and not matter of flavor, the conflicting messages being sent to your brain seem to be enough to override the stimulus of the capsaicin. Now, this isn't something that prevents you feeling spice, but even capsaicin can irritate the mucous membranes of
All
your
right.
nose, thereby leading
I don't
to
have the red
a
ones.
perception of spice when you eat. So, by plugging our noses, it lessens the overall sensation of the spicy food. We also have some taste buds in the soft palate of our mouths, which explains why we're still feeling some burning back in that area. But when it came to our tongues, the lack of smelling seemed to completely dampen any spicy feelings. Round number 3! I'm excited about this one. Key lime pie.
This one goes out to Tyler Williams of Tyler and Sophia Nygaard and his love of key lime pie.
This was something that was suggested multiple times by you guys, the audience. And the rationale for this one makes a lot of sense, right? In past episodes of this series that we've done, we found that lime simple syrup worked really well because there was something about the citrus and also something about the sweetness that was dull and kind of
Where
lessen the
is
taste
those
of your
scissors?
Key lime pie actually takes it to another level by introducing dairy, and milk is a very common antidote for spicy
Oh,
food.
here's another pair of blue ones. Let's see if these ones are any better.
All in there in the same bite, we stand a good chance at fighting off these
Decent.
very intense.
Come here.
And you've got like a bread substance in here. So really, this seems pretty darn primed to be like a great solution.
They should be great.
Alright.
That awkward moment where you're just holding things together. Where's my tissues?
Doing it again really reinforces how much the nose was. You did a really good job.
I haven't been doing this. God.
Are you kidding me? Are you serious? It disappeared. One thing I didn't think about was there's a fifth thing that this plays into that we didn't
I'm gonna put some little flowers on this one too. Fuck, I'm okay.
that's able to linger and kind of paint everywhere and melt everywhere. It's almost like you want some sort of like cell or gel to get into heat and get into burning. This has that.
Oh, it does come back. It does come back with food.
But no, you know how they tell you to like smother the flames and put blankets over it and like camp it out?
This is effectively that. If you're not on the key lime pie train, highly recommend. We were missing out
No,
for years.
what's this?
Don't be like us.
2000. Oh shit, I hate numbers. Maybe the 2000s was good for somebody.
But no, this is great. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Delicious viscous discus.
What the hell? Oh no, not again.
It makes a lot of sense. It checks all of the boxes.
Oop, shit. Till you're stuck.
Temperature of the pie itself provides a soothing sensation. To add on to all of that, it also has condensed milk. It's just boiled down milk with sugar. And on top of that sugar, it also has even more added sugar in the recipe. Sugar honestly did us a big favor here. This is because sugar directly works by neutralizing the effects of capsaicin. Some theorize that it's thanks to its ability to suppress the bitter compounds found in capsaicin. That's just a theory. Oh, boom! We aren't there yet. But needless to say, this and nose plugs are two of the best
Oh, I could have done that too.
we've ever tried. Round number 4. I gotta say, I love this episode. Frozen chocolate.
I'm feeling really good going into this round. My mouth is not on fire. My lips haven't fallen off yet. I'm so excited. And I don't think chocolate is a
Now, chocolate has a few things going for it. In this case, it's frozen.
Just waiting for everything to cool enough.
Wonders on the spice. When it comes to fat, capsaicin is considered lipophilic, which is just a fancy way of saying that it gets absorbed by fat. So the more fat that's stuffed into our chocolate, the better it's going to be. And since
Gotta figure out what color though.
milk and sugar, it also contains small amounts of casein, which is that
Can you?
protein milk that helps you wash away the oil-based capsaicin molecules floating around your mouth when you eat spicy food. That's why today we're going to start using milk chocolate specifically.
I love this episode already. And after round 1, I'm like, oh no, we have made a horrific mistake by overspicing these wings. But the fact that we're sitting here at round number 4 and doing fine.
We're in it to win it, man.
We are to win it. I've not even broken a sweat.
Hot glue's leaking. I'm not gonna fuck with it. I'm gonna let it sit, and then I'm gonna trim it off, and no one will be the wiser because you're gonna keep your mouth shut about it. You understand me? Good.
5 out of 10. I don't know.
One part of it is definitely from the cold. The other part of it, I'm assuming, is from the creaminess of the chocolate. But I will say, it is not dulling the spice nearly as much as the previous round. As soon as it's out, like it's coming back full force, it's not weakening it at all.
Yeah. Ooh, all right.
Like the green. Do I have anything in there? Oh, I got a yellow.
Round number 5. Frozen lemonade milkshake thing. This is
I like frozen lemonade milkshake thing. I used to buy a lot of wire ribbon, and now it's the vein of my existence. Is learning it doesn't make anything better. It's a hard lesson. Ooh, I gotta move him.
I still don't feel great, but I feel better than last time. And we've yet to eject anything into a bucket next to us, which at this point is
the concept of this one should probably make sense to you at this point. Right? It's got ice cream, it's got citrus, it's got dairy in there, and it's cold.
It has the potential to be a step up from the key lime pie in the sense that it's colder. The key lime pie was
I think I can just make a bow out of this.
but this is
So
freezer temperature, and colder is almost always better.
One of the things you keep hearing us say is, we're going right, oh, it's in the back of my throat, oh, it's in the back of my throat, oh, it's in the back of my throat. This right here, as we did in our brain freeze episode, anything with a straw, you're shooting it straight to your back of your throat there. This might be the best solution for that area. Let's do it! Round number 5. It continues. Frozen lemonade dessert drink. How you doing? It is super tasty.
It's a little icy. It's a little bit less creamy.
It is less creamy than I would have thought. Taking a bite out of a pretty structurally sound key lime pie, it's able to just hang out there until you decide to chew it, right? It's not melting, it's not going away. This, as soon as I get it in, I feel myself having to reapply it. Like, I feel like I have to move it around a bunch because it's constantly melting, turning to liquid, and running around. This is good. It's definitely our, let's say, like, second best of the food solutions.
Yeah.
But it is not quite up to par with the key lime. This one was actually kind of a surprise for us. Hibiscus options have always been the ones topping our charts, so we figured that since lemon juice did really well at neutralizing spice by adding sugar, ice, and everything nice, we'd have ourselves a spicy food killing machine. But instead, we found that the frozen part of the lemonade just didn't cool us down as much as the pie, because it just immediately turned into water. But as we all know, water and capsaicin don't mix. So as soon as the soothing sensation of the cold went away, the spice kicked the door back in and washed itself around our mouth.
I don't have a yellow. I have a couple of pinks though. That'll bring that eyeball out. And they're decent size. So I'm gonna go with these guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go with these guys. Never thought I'd actually have to use pom-poms in my work, but here I am.
sucks. So, did this make it worse for you? It makes it worse, right? This one is just a prank, right, guys? It has to be. There
What
was
is
no
it?
way that this could be used by anybody as a spice solution. At least no one apart from Shaggy and Scooby. There you go, dude. Trying to dull spice using ketchup, about the same level of pain that I got from watching Velma. Who would have figured that a movie starring a crime-fighting dog wouldn't adhere to proper scientific principles? Unfortunately, while the acidity of the tomato and vinegar
There, I'm gonna call him done.
help to soothe us, capsaicin is hydrophobic, meaning that it doesn't bind to water-based solutions like ketchup. So all of those ingredients pretty much did diddly squat other than to make us suffer more. What goes up must come down, friendos. And after 6 rounds, we were flying high for a while. But you know
There we go. Who's next? So someone's telling me I want to do this one, so.
final boss round, which is the last dab, but that's where we're leading to next. I would say ketchup will not be making it into that final round. Speaking of that final round, it's no use putting it off. It's time for the last dab. Final boss time! Right there. We faced this puppy last time, and boy howdy, the smell is bad. I've forgotten the smell.
It was literally just like charcoal and ash and death. So in previous years, we've been able to control the amount of last dab that we're actually ingesting. This year, we've got a good, solid slather going on.
There's a reason you don't toss the wings in the last dab
It's a
sauce.
last dab, not a last toss.
I'm sorry. But even though we were facing down a monumental challenge, I wasn't as nervous as I usually am. This time we came prepared with all the heavy hitters. Obviously, our winners from year 1 and 2, a lime simple syrup, a peanut butter honey mix, and a peanut butter milkshake from our local ice cream
These
shop.
are relatively flat,
we
so they'll
also
just sit
threw in
well.
This year's 2 top contenders, key lime pie, and shocking literally everyone, nose plugs. All right, you want to add an additional dab to your already tossed wing? So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to test some spicy food solution.
That's not gonna work. I can go from the inside, like, not a dumbass. I don't think it'll come off anyway.
Just like last year, I can't taste the flavor as much this year.
There is no flavor. The flavor is burning.
Flavor is just pain.
It negates the whole front part of your mouth. It's crazy. It's actually nuts. All right, I'm gonna go in with the peanut butter milkshake now.
I am actually shocking. Just from this alone, I could go into these right now to cool a little bit of what's happening here.
I'm actually gonna take this off to give these other ones a fair test. Wow, it just comes back. It's so weird. Give it a sec, and it pushes forward slowly across your tongue. It is so weird.
That is so weird. Why is that?
It's so much hotter. It's so much hotter.
So now that I've done this, but this was year 1.
Yeah, this is fine. This is mid.
This is mid.
Ow.
This is solid.
I can't get that one off. It's okay. Doesn't have to. You guys can leave flat just there, so.
Does a really nice job. Does a real good job. This is better because it's a little bit colder. This is better because it's not liquid, and so there's a stick on the heat. And again, acting like a blanket, basically tamping out or smothering out the fire that's going on in the mouth. At this point,
Oop, right. Oh, well, too late now. Gotta go.
I know exactly where to go for an antidote, and for little spice babies like me, that's for sure.
And again, remember, this is a wing pause in this stuff.
Yeah.
And then with an additional, you have like 2 dabs. I have 5 on mine. And last year, it won't stop, Steph. It won't stop.
It's really bad.
The only reason we're feeling spice now, or at least the bulk of the spice, is because we took this off. So this plus these other ones, you're golden. It took us 3 years, but I think we finally dialed in the optimal solution here. You ain't got nothing, Apollo sauce.
Get out of here.
You have done your last dab, so you bested the final boss here. But there is another one that's working in the lanes.
Is that the one?
Oh, my back.
So there is one food that Stephanie and I have bonded over since the very beginning of our relationship. So for those of you who don't know, Stephanie grew up in a town that has one stoplight and not a whole lot more.
But there is one thing it has going for it, which is the world's best ice cream shop. People come from like 50 miles around to go to this ice cream shop, which is called Sunny Skies. It's run by a guy who has two kids named Sunny and Skylar. Yeah, it's that cute. And they're the home of the world's like first famous spice cream.
One shop has created a bizarre new flavor designed to warm you up. It's known as Cold Sweat, and it is rumored to be one of the spiciest sweets on the planet. This spice cream is made with 3 kinds of chili peppers and 2 of the hottest hot sauces known to man.
This is basically a bucket of fire right here.
The ice cream base itself is seasoned with even more hot sauce. Half an hour in the batch freezer turns our fire to ice, and it is about to get hotter.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Cold Sweat. This stuff is so intense you have to sign a waiver in order to even taste test it.
They won't let you buy a scoop of it until you have fully taste tested it and come through and been like, yeah, I actually want a scoop of that.
There are actually 3 layers of protection around this stuff, right? First off, you gotta sign the waiver, say, all right, I'm on board. Secondly, they give you what's called the grain of rice test, where they literally give you a piece the size of a grain of rice. And you would think, oh, it's a grain of rice, what's the big deal? It will linger in your mouth for no less than 15 to 25 minutes. I went to the store the other day to get this in preparation for this test, and I'm like, please don't make me actually do the final test, which is the 3 pepper test. They give you a spoonful with all 3 peppers present, and you gotta take it. But at this point, we've done last dab, we've done all these spice solutions. I feel like I should be better. I did the rice the other day, the grain of rice size, just the biggest, and I'm like, oh no, this is just as hot as I remembered. They actually came up with a new flavor that's even a level above this, called Exit Wound, which I think...
Exit wound. Why? Oh no.
Called it freezer burn.
Matthew's been saying this for years. I agree, it's a missed opportunity.
I'll do the 3 pepper thing. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. Oh, no. Oh, no. So,
that was such a small amount.
So not only is this incredibly hot and incredibly spicy,
Oh, man.
from a textural standpoint, it sucks. Because it's frozen peppers, and frozen peppers are just nasty. Okay.
Okay.
Nope, I'm feeling okay. I'm banning that. Oh, there it comes. I thought that years of me doing spicy food challenges would make me like, oh yeah, this is nothing. I clearly overestimated this when I was younger. Nope.
While any of these are in your mouth, they really do help. They really, really do. The problem with this ice cream, and I don't know exactly what it is or how they've gotten it to this level of potency, but every time anyone we know has tried even a little bit, they say that it lasts. And that's the problem. It just becomes relentless, and it doesn't like last in just like, oh, it's a little tickle in the back of your throat. My throat is burning.
So there you have it, friends. If you truly want like a one-of-a-kind, unbeatable, weirdly hot experience, Cold Sweat or Exit Wound from Angier, North Carolina, of all things.
Come on.
That is
Hurry
a
up.
flavor experience that you're never going to replicate. Thanks there, Matt. I'll take it from here. And with that, we're finally able to finish our tier list. Our top tier pick from before, Milkshake, is now bested by the absolute outstanding Key Lime Pie. In the A tier, we have peanut
Just
butter
a little
and
bow for Biggie.
a citrus with frozen lemonade, lime syrup, lemon juice, sugar water.
It's got a little gold, so that'll catch in the eyes.
With the addition of perfume and the worst things to ever use as spice chasers, rounding out the list are vodka, mouthwash, and ketchup. Seriously, I'd rather guzzle the last than try any one of them again. I'd rather bathe in cold sweat. I don't even know if I'm talking about the ice cream or the bodily fluid. But of them all, one unexpected solution reigns supreme. In a league all of its own, nose plugs. A solution that is so powerful that it silenced the all-powerful last dab sauce. It may not be glamorous wearing nose plugs in a restaurant, but I ask you, what looks less dignified? This or this? Wait a minute. Stephanie, what if we do cold ones? Cold ice creams, even colder, harder truths. Sean Evinger, my Mr. Incredible, and I am your Syndrome. Cold ones coming to a Food Theory channel soon. So there you have it, folks. Over the course of these 3 episodes, we've tested over 20 different spice solutions. And now we are done. No more. Nuh-uh. My stomach ain't taking this anymore. I'm not doing this again. Until, of course, it gets the inevitable reboot next year. All good trilogies do. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.
And hey, if you ever wondered if all of this extreme spicy food can kill you, well, I looked into it, and that answer is on screen right now. Click the video on the left if you're interested in spicing up your life.
There
Or
we
if you're
go.
interested in just how far smell can affect your sense of flavor, that video's on the right. We did a really fascinating experiment for that one. And with that, my friends, I'm off to have a very unpleasant trip to the bathroom. I will see you next week if I make it.
Alright. Let's finish you. Everybody getting bows today. Oh, that's right.
Previously on Food Theory, we showed you that you can, in fact, cook a meal inside of your laundry room dryer. So, what's on the menu today?
A full dinner, but have we bitten off more than we can chew?
Get ready, friends. Things are about to get steamy. Steamer?
No. Oh, I know I can't get out of here. You know I can't get out of here. That's not funny.
Close now. Okay. Top secure.
Welcome to Food Theory, where our humor is drier than our cooking appliances. That's right, baby. Unconventional cooking is back. Earlier this year, we showed you that it was indeed possible to use your laundry room dryer to cook a steak. And not only steak, but also shrimp and frozen pizza with drying your clothes.
This was an absolute win. Across the board, we made
an entire meal.
While also drying our laundry.
Best of all, I didn't get violently ill after the camera stopped rolling. Overall, I call that a resounding success. So why not test the fate again? After all, the comments exploded with your ideas on other unconventional cooking methods we could test out, which leads us to today. Today, we're not just cooking all higgledy-piggledy and throwing random food products into a dryer. Today, we have a goal. We are creating a full-on multi-course meal complete with steak, seafood, vegetables, and even some desserts. And all of it prepared with no ovens, no stovetops, and no sanity. In this episode 2 of our unconventional cooking series, we are asking the ultimate question. Can your laundry room become your kitchen? If the dryer managed to replace the oven, could you maybe replace your stovetop with a hot
I would
iron?
love to have a yellow, so I'll put his one on and then see if I can find a yellow. If I can, I'll just do
Today also marks the return of the dryer. In the biggest swing of them all, could we possibly make a delicious cold dessert like ice cream in a home appliance known for its heat? What are we waiting for, friends? All my home appliances aren't gonna ruin themselves. Let's get cooking. So in charting out our multi-course meal, we
I'm gonna
wanted
make
to make
a
something
red.
that Gordon
What am I gonna
Ramsay
do?
would be proud of. In total, we wanted to make 5 separate items. A nice seared steak, sous vide scallops, steamed
It's not
green
bad.
beans as a side dish, freshly churned butter, and a delicious ice creamy
I
dessert.
churned
Because
my
they would
butter.
take the longest, we decided to start with the last 2, ice cream and butter. And to help us down the path of culinary excellence, we brought back out none other than our trusty dryer. But how do you make foods that need to be refrigerated inside of a device specifically built to heat things up? Well, you turn off the heat. Dryers have tumble cycles with 0 heat, meaning that all you're going to be left with is a bunch of churning action. What things do you need to churn? Butter and ice cream.
I think this was Stephanie's excuse to not get me to buy a milkmaid costume and a full-on butter churn for the rest of the day. I feel like this is a gift that the internet did not need. This is...
Please, editors, do something for
I don't know if the shake weight gesture is any
No,
better.
just stop that one. Let's blur this whole episode, please.
So, after dislodging Steph from that opening shot,
I feel like I watched an after-school special once against this sort of thing.
it was time to tumble. But we couldn't just throw the ingredients in, we needed a plan. Luckily, Steph came prepared.
So we got 2 bottles of butter ingredients. It's heavy cream and salt. And then we've got a couple of extra little gadgets here to help agitate the butter as it's tumbling around in the dryer. And then we were like, let's use some like nuts, like nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any of those. These are just like little ratchet pieces.
I'd say that this shoot is
It's
so
so ratchet.
Darn it. Sorry, I thought I turned this thing off. Hello? Oh,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure, I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Sorry, that was a 2014 colon. Apparently they wanted their slang back. But don't worry, there were plenty of bad puns to fill that absence. Someone on set had a nut allergy, so we couldn't use those.
You could also argue that we already agitate people enough.
These are terrible. All of these are terrible puns.
Why am I doing clowns? I don't even know what these fuckers are gonna sell.
The cream. Can we get dessert coming out of a dryer? I don't know, but we're gonna test it out. So I think we've all done this in school at some point, where you pour in salt into the ice. When you do this in school, you just kind of like take it around, toss it around for hours on end. I'm like, does the dryer actually do that? My expectation actually is that the churning motion of the dryer is going to pulverize the ice, actually making it surround the cream and making it cool faster.
I'm a little doubtful of this. I think at best we get milkshake, but we'll see.
With that, it was time to close it all up and set it to tumble on air dry. Remember, no heat. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, it's really clunking around in there.
It's just like when you throw your shoes into the dryer, you know?
Yeah, but your shoes aren't full of liquid.
Good point. The thing is, like, shaking so much it's gonna fall off. I would say do not try this at home, but reserve your judgment until you do this at home. That's what I would say. I don't know what this is gonna run. We don't test this stuff in advance. We get one shot. You're gonna find out. See you in 40 minutes. With those tumbling, it was time to prepare the steak. Last time we did an experiment like this, we proved that cooking the steak in the dryer actually resulted in meat that was surprisingly tender and edible. However, it did lack one thing, a nice hard There was no crust on the outside, which meant that there'd be no way for you to mistake this beef for being cooked on the grill or a cast iron skillet. And if you're gonna have any hope of fooling your friends into thinking that you didn't just cook them dinner in the place where you wash the skid stains off your undies, you're gonna need to find a way to fake it. So this time, instead of cooking steak in the dryer, I decided to look elsewhere in the laundry room. The clothes iron. Why limit yourself to just the dryer? Because at this point, you've got yourself a whole laundry room full of cooking instruments. Or at least potential cooking instruments. We're gonna find that out today. So, why not cook it on a cast iron? This has got to cook something, right? It's a hot piece of metal. Last time we only used the thinnest sliced beef to ensure that it was going to cook all the way through. This time, we weren't pulling any punches. We got some nice double C thick steaks to really put this one to the test. We're going to pat the steak, so nice and dry,
There we go.
nice and clean. Our other mistake from last episode was we didn't do enough seasoning.
I don't know why I did clowns.
Pepper. Because really,
Why did I do
at
that?
the end of this cooking, we really
God,
want
I'm
the
an
flavor of
idiot.
the meat to speak for itself. So just, you know, a light.
Okay, everybody's just gonna hang there while you set up a touch.
Quick flip. Last but not least, got to make sure that you non-stick cooking spray or cooking surface, which in this case is this guy. Here we go. I'm a little bit nervous about this. Let me hold it away from my face. Ready? No. Totally fine. So irons can actually get between 350 to 420 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. There it is. So really, that should be hot enough to give us a nice solid sear on the steak. There's only one way to find out. Press it in. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that sizzle. Hear that crackle, Yossi sound guy? He did. He wanted me to tell you that the appropriate word is sizzle. Crackle is what your microphone does when it's going on the fritz. You dumb. It works! I love cooking with laundry equipment! Little did past Matt know that it wasn't going to go all that smooth. We'll just let past Matt enjoy this moment of blissfully ignorant victory while it lasts. So really, it was a big victory. Cooking the steak this way felt faster than a normal pan sear. And it also felt like it had more control. I could tell exactly how much the steak was cooking without letting it get overdone. It's a steak Gordon Ramsay would be proud of. Not true. He'd burn it in a fire and then call you an idiot sandwich, but sure, keep living your truth, man. But while Gordo might not have been proud of me, at least someone else was. Hey, bud. I'm cooking a steak using a laundry oven. Wow. Right? Isn't that weird? Yeah, this is used to... Yeah. Okay, so my 4-year-old thought it was weird too. Fine. Well, forget them all, because I was about to cook the meat to a nice mid-rare in 4 minutes. Oh, this is so good. You never know. You would never know. I love this episode of the channel. So good. Here, your cast iron skillet, just use your laundry iron skillet. Wonderful. Done. No matter what else happens today, you definitely got one W in the bag. So we had the turf, now it was time for the surf. I wanted to see how far we could push the envelope. So instead of just using the iron again to sear some scallops, The
Ferrero Rocher chocolate bar. Crunchy hazelnuts, smooth chocolate, creamy filling. Make any moment worth celebrating. Ferrero Rocher.
I need a dark purple ribbon.
Skip the pricey produce aisles and start growing your own veggies at home with Miracle Grow Organics. 100% organic ingredients for 100% organic
Problem is they pull apart before they set, and I'm fucked.
I decided to go for a more sophisticated cooking technique, the sous vide. Yep, it's laundry room cooking's first foray into specialty French techniques. If you're not familiar with the method, it's designed to be a slow cooking process in which food, usually meat, gets placed inside of an airtight bag and then submerged in warm or hot water. The heated water helps to preserve the elasticity of the meat, keep it from drying out, and slow cooks it for a longer time to ensure it's 100% tender on the other end. I don't even have a sous vide in my kitchen, but sure, let's retrofit the laundry room to do the work for us.
These are beautiful scallops. This is going to be a waste. This is not going to work. I'm putting my money right now. These are amazing scallops. We will not get to eat them. I'm just, there you go.
I would double bag that.
120 and 185 degrees Fahrenheit, or 48 to 85 C. That's pretty warm. Actually, much warmer than most home washers, where the hot water is going to range from about 90 to 130 Fahrenheit, or 32 to 54 Celsius. Luckily, you'll notice that there's that small sliver of overlap.
Fuck, it's almost midnight.
130 degrees Fahrenheit. And would you know it, that the recommended sous vide temp for scallops is right there in the middle at 127. So we cranked up the hot water heaters and Steph wished the scallops bon voyage.
Goodbye. Goodbye, scallops.
I do not like
5
scallops.
minutes later, it was time to check the results.
They're in there. So we're here with our scallops, which all decided to take a swim. They did not stay in the bag. So I'm just going to go fishing for some scallops.
And when Steph says that they went for a swim, they literally went for a swim. The scallops had managed to escape the bag and wound up floating around the bottom of the drum. But while they were spin cycling around, something magical happened.
Oh, you know what? They feel like kind of firm. I don't want to test this, but it looks like it might actually be cooked.
And with that resounding praise, we were able to get a big old green check mark next to the scallops. Can you sous vide in a wash machine? Absolutely. Provided that you're also comfortable with your clothes smelling like shellfish for the next 10 loads of laundry. True story, that. Anyway, all that was left was a quick visit out to my ironing board for a finishing sear.
So now that I've proven that you can sear some steak using an iron here, Stephanie actually got done with the scallops in the sous vide washer, and they look great. They're nice and firm. They're awesome. The one thing you're missing, though, is a nice solid finishing sear, right? So they sent me to do the job, and woo! What did you do today? I did the laundry, seared some scallops simultaneously. Maybe this will become the Theorist small plate restaurants where we serve you everything cooked using laundry equipment. How's that sound? Would you guys come to that? If we opened up a pop-up restaurant somewhere, we're like, hey, come to the Theorist HQ restaurant. Would you come? Let me know down in the comments below. Because let's be honest, who wouldn't want to try this stuff?
I like the big belly on
Like
this
I
one.
said, who wouldn't want to try the stuff that I just dropped on the ground? Perfect. Onward to the rest of the meal.
While a meal of only protein is given lots of those cool keto caveman vibes, you have to listen to your mom and get your veggies too. That's why no complete dinner is ready without a nice side dish. Specifically, some nice green beans steamed in your lint trap.
So we've got your surf, we've got your turf, but now, where's the veg? We want to make a complete meal using every element of our laundry room, right? So why not have some veg on the side, some green beans? And the thought occurred to me, if we're using every element of a laundry room, well then, why not use a steamer? You steam vegetables, you steam your clothes. Same thing, same general principle, using the power of helicopters.
Man, I love recording outside when my neighbors are doing construction and there's helicopters flying overhead. Anyway, steam works to prepare both your laundry and your food in a similar way. In clothing, hot steamy vapor heats up the fabric to loosen hydrogen bonds, keeping the fibers in the container.
Okay.
Outside Matt, you want to take over the rest?
I'm not mad or anything, helicopters. I'm just disappointed.
Thank goodness 99% of our episodes are voiceover. Anyway, food largely works the same way. Vegetables in particular have a high water
Get you
content
down
and help
further.
plant cell walls, which give them that crispy crunch. So
Hitting them with steam causes the outer cell wall to start breaking down and the water inside to heat up, disrupting cell walls from the inside. The result you get is a soft cooked vegetable.
Is this gonna work? I don't know.
Not gonna work.
It should. It's basically the same
I put it
thing.
flat enough. I put the head flat enough. I'm done. It's midnight. I have to go steam the cat.
Not with the camera. This is a slam dunk, right? See, camera disagrees.
I got 2 things on the stairs, so I can get the rest done tomorrow morning. Can finish all these tomorrow, I hope. Alright, well if you stayed, thank you. Thanks for stopping by. We'll get these guys done tomorrow, I hope. Alright. Good night.